Saying that secretly is going to go. How's it going? She didn't apply again.
I gave you a point. I didn't answer your question what is MBA.
Yeah. But you what?
Excuse me, can we settle down, please? Welcome back. We'll be continuing with we'll be continuing the session. We have two presentations left. One by Mr. Prabjot Sodhi. So I request ma'am to take over.
Yeah. So I would just like to invite Prabjot Sodhi to this class, and he's going to give his observations on the whole thing. Please come.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, madam. Thank you, ma'am. Very good afternoon to you. I hope you had a nice lunch, enjoyable, because that's the motto of this whole workshop. We need to enjoy. We need to make others enjoy as well. Because unless we don't enjoy, we don't incorporate. And that's the message. So I'm just by default here. Madhu is the anchor person. She anchors the program, and I sort of provide the backup support on the on this education. But I think so some very important issues have been touched here. And I think so it's very important we carry them back and reflect on them and then really come up. Madhu, I think I'll leave it to you to start with. And then I'll join in.
It's fine over there.
It's fine.
Yeah. Thank you. So first of all, I would like to thank Toxics Link and NCRT for giving us this opportunity to share this platform. And a very warm good afternoon to all. Hope I find you all awake till the end of the presentation. Yeah. So our topic for the presentation was environment education, preparing students for future challenges. So when we write preparing students for future challenges, is it exactly students we are preparing for? And we need to focus on who are preparing these students. So when we talk about environment education, it's not only school and teachers that we talk about. Environment education is basically a value that is, imbibed in the student, in the child from his household. Mother, father, brothers, neighborhood, this is what he learns. And this value is then reinforced by school and the educators, teachers or facilitators. So basically when we talk about preparing students for future challenges, we need to talk about preparing educators, parents, schools, communities and the students. So these are these major stakeholders when we talk about environment education. So, and in all of it, school is the one which plays the major role. Because, school is the one which walks on the live landmine which is called marks or grades these days. And school is the one which manages the marks of the student along with the co-curricular activities of the student, along with everything else. And trust me, schools are very loaded these days. There are a host of activities and schools are nodal point for all these activities. And this pressure is then passed on to the student. So even when we say project-based learning, at the end of the day it becomes, one more assignment. So the student loses interest. So when all along we have talked about infusion approach. So what is this infusion approach actually? Infusion approach is nothing more than the subjects that we have already been teaching to the students, applying the concept of environment education in those subjects in an interesting way so that the student captures them and it does not burden them. And this should help them, we were talking about impacts of environment education. So environment education impact is something, making your student capable of taking environment friendly decisions. So you, as an educator, what I feel is you should provide the student the information and let him decide, let him or her decide that what is the environmentally conscious decision that he should take. So with this I would move on. So environment education in schools. Basically what we understand by environment education is there is a new term in the market, as I call it. It's it's education for sustainable development. So from environment education, now we are gradually moving to ESD, and I guess 10 years down the line we would be having ESD in schools. Anyways, so environment education in schools is basically to promote understanding and interdependence of not only environmental issues, but how are they related to social and economic issues as well. So the student needs to get the whole picture. Then it is to, as I said, encourage critical reflection and decision making, and it should reflect in personal lifestyle. If in a class of 60, even 10 student decides that fine, we would, inculcate or we would practice this one habit of switching off lights when not necessary, job is done. Then engage them in active participation of citizenry in building sustainable development, as is the final goal. So moving on, schools are actually already doing this. Many schools are already doing this, and we have just taken up what they are doing and what they need to do more to bring about this whole infusion approach and the approach of environment education as a success in the school. So we have throughout talked about Eco Club approach. So it's in this infusion approach, we now need to move from eco clubs to the whole school approach. Till now, we have only concentrated all our activities till the Eco Club. Eco Club has a group of 30-40 students. The activities are done by these students. A beautiful bulletin board is prepared and report is pasted. So we need to move out from that approach, and we need to involve whole school in the activities that we are doing. And the activities should be linked to the curriculum, something that they are already studying. If you are teaching them about desertification and how water table is going down, then you should link an activity, say maybe soak pit creation to recharge the groundwater level. So they link better, when it is taught to them and when they do the same thing on the ground. Then making learning practical, fun and participatory. Most of the history books have mentioned Qutub Minar somewhere in one chapter or the other. I'm not very good in history. But we had a workshop at Qutub Minar where we had invited some 30 schools had participated. All of the students were from Delhi. 25% had never visited Qutub Minar before. And I asked them, how many of you have visited malls? So they were like, all of us. How many times a week? They were like 2-3 times a week. But now 25% of them had not visited Qutub Minar. So when we say practical, this is what I mean. So make it fun. Sarat sir is not here. Government of Delhi had taken up saving the sparrow campaign and water hyacinth campaign. So when you go and say to the children, save sparrow because it's vanishing and this and that, they get it, but they do not keep it. But when you show them how to make a bird nest, how to actually hang it outside your house, and then sparrows will come. So it's fun for them, plus they learn. Then participatory is, as I have already talked about, it's not a one-way process, it's a two-way process. Local problem identification and linking it up with global issues. The children, when we talk about climate change, it's not only the climate change they should know, but they should know what is changing in their own life because of climate change. Then students involved and learn in the world outside the school. I went on a field visit to this very good school, Akshar Nandan in Pune. They actually hold a fair where the students make eco-friendly products. They do the accounting. The parents of those school students are invited in the school, and all the profit, loss, and everything is calculated by done by the students themselves. So they learn maths, they learn about environment, they learn about interacting with community. Then holistic way of learning. As Jashi ma'am had told, we cannot just teach them, we need to adopt it. The school should be green, the students should know what they are eating, and they should have it in their way of life. And interdisciplinary learning, I guess all of us know what that is. And this is what ideally environment education should be. We feel ideally how it should be. Informative rather than educative, participatory learning rather than teaching, action-based relating to day-to-day activities. Action should be able to bring about change, and this change should encourage eco-friendly lifestyles basically. So this is what we are trying to bring about. So I would hand it over to Sunil.
Okay, thanks Madhu for taking us forward. This is a program, I'll just take no more than 5 minutes, ma'am, and club up these things together. And I think so this is a program which is a very innovative program, and I must congratulate Ministry of Environment and Forest who came forward for this. This is a Paka PPP partnership here. It's a private sector, public government is there, and there is civil society in it. And this ran into about 2 lakh schools, and we have reached about 1.5 lakh schools, and I think so there has been steering committee which has been drawing lessons from it, which has been meeting into it. So this is the level, it is done in 15 languages, reaching out to 646 districts, 200,000 schools. We have not touched base. It's to class 6 and 9 and nearly 20 million students. And ArcelorMittal came to support this as well. Seeing this, like Grid said in the morning, they have their partners. So these are some of these issues which we all are trying and doing. And many of the people sitting here are members to it, many of the principals, teachers, school students, those who are being represented. Anyway, this has already been said. This all came out of a very innovative experience again, which the Ministry of Environment anchored. Rita ji said in the morning, they are taking Green Heart, they are taking SBS, trains. So these are some of these are path-breaking programs. Ministry coming up, selected by children and schools and teachers and principals, an environment ambassador, and Kalam Saab was the first one, and the initiative goes on. I must also bring 2 issues here, the challenge which we are facing, and flags to Toxic Links for making all these efforts to have it. Madhu just touched upon an issue, the child is getting burdened. And we all know inside ourselves that we are seeing that sometimes the child is getting burdened. We may accept it or we may not. That's a different question. There is a disconnect. Kartikeya raised an issue about disconnect. It was formalized again by yourself, ma'am, and the other speakers. BMS said the same. Where are the disconnects? So the challenge is, this is a school in Gonda district where we are working under the Steel Authority of India's program. Now these are one teacher under a thatched roof going to connect from class 1 to class 6, and they don't have a school. I'm not trying to bring it a pathetic picture here, or I'm trying to paint a dismal performance. The challenge lies here that how we can involve into the system. They also are very keen to learn, they are also very keen to know about it, and they are the ones who are being affected by heavy metals. Those ones which are left into the discharge, and we don't know whether there is cadmium, nickel or this, and these are the ones who really are at the forefront of the environmental so-called damage if it is happening. Anyway, will I get a chance? The child has got a first time publicly painting it up and being given an award. A very recent photograph, as you can say. So see, these are some of the challenges. I think much has been said. I will skip these slides because this has been said by all. And the handprint, as Kartikeya said, the handprint approach with the National Biodiversity Authority and India hosting the presidency for the CBD, Conservation for Biological Diversity, the presidency for the next 2 years. CE anchored this program of reaching out to the children, and I would lovingly introduce Panu Haldar, who is here with us from Chhattisgarh, has anchored into more than I think so 5,000 schools by yourself with his team of 20 volunteers. Varun is there, and there is another teacher there who painted this picture yesterday in my office, and that's what thanks to Toxic Links for being showcasing this. And that sort of a culture which is changing. They have painted the walls in the forest departments with the biodiversity, state biodiversity boards. They have been having district collectors. So there is endless, these walls are being painted. They want to keep these walls in every school. Anyway, these are endless number of things. One thing more, now this pledge program which the National Biodiversity Authority is leading into action, touching base about 25 lakh pledges in the last 10 months. 150 cities, 25,000 schools, and in all languages of the country. With more than 190 institutions, there is Raman Tyagi here, there is Khatri Saab, there are principals of the schools who have been very active in leading into all this to us. I think so. This is one more thing which I wanted to bring into the notice. This is a toolkit which you all have taken. Please, Intel has come up with this beautiful website. where these are simple messages and these are informations to you. And these informations are on a CD. This is in various languages. Google search it and you will get. Put low carbon lifestyle, you will get it 100 places. This in German, in French also, and in Tamil and in Telugu. We are getting into other languages. Hindi is there, Punjabi is getting on. So there the children goes into putting a baseline. The school becomes it. I've got letters coming in. साहब आपने ये कहा, हमने सारी चेंज कर दिया, इतना हमारा हुआ, क्या हमें कार्बन क्रेडिट मिलेगा? A school from Uttarakhand, a teacher coming from Kendriya Vidyalaya and says that मैंने ये सारे चेंज कर दिए, इतना कैलकुलेशन आपकी किताब ने बताया, क्या मुझे मिलेगा कार्बन क्रेडिट? So you see the enthusiasm getting up. Each child can do, each person can do. Please commit yourself to go to the website, get yourself registered. This is something which will speak for the volumes that you are having. This has already been said. This is the school children taking pledges on the computers and filling up this. We have got about 500 schools nearly, Madhu, member to it now, and about 500 students. Intel wants it to be going. They are very keen to partner. This is Panu Haldar trying to share his transport experience which he did. They got the best prize in France and the students and the teachers both went up there to take it up. Sorry Panu, I missed you in the photo. But these are things. I would like to share one example and then close it. Just 1 minute. Madhu said to you about this program we did with ASI, Archaeological Survey of India. About a year and a half back, we went and talked to the ASI DG. He called us for a program and we did it in Delhi Fort. And then there, in that program, many of your schools were there, I can't remember which ones, but the principals and the teachers very active from St. Mark's and Presentation and other schools those who were here. They were there. There they said that why can't we do similar programs more? And we said we would be very happy if your students come in. The point which I want to bring, we brought students from very good schools of Delhi, I will not name the schools, very good schools of Delhi, and we also brought children from the slums at the same time, bringing a diversity of them. Everybody ate the lunch. The children from the schools would not like to sit with the slum schools. Ye gande hain, hum inke saath baithenge. And the children from those slums were also feeling very difficult in order to really mitigate. But we broke them into groups, and made them into games play. And once the games were there, everybody was competing against the others. And mind you, they won more prizes than the others. The issue which I am trying to highlight about environment, when they were eating, they threw away. The schools, which were the better off ones, they threw everything in the dustbins. The ones who were not from the better off, देखिए sir, उसने सारा कचरा गिराया है, उसने सारा गंदा किया, आप हमें पकड़ेंगे. Now it is our duty how to bring and frame them in. I leave this question here. It was a mind-boggling experience to do that program. We have a meeting at 5 o'clock with the DG and we are surely going to partner with many of you, schools and institutions both. Thank you. These are endless photos. I'll leave it up here. And thanks ma'am for the time.
I would just now like to invite Pallavi, Director Operation Task Groups, who will be talking on ecotourism. Welcome Pallavi.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I thank Toxic Links and MCERT to invite the Taj, a hospitality company, to a forum like this. When we were first told that we are invited to a forum which talks about ecotourism and how it can integrate with education, we were wondering, did we have enough to talk? Would what we had to say be of interest to people who are stalwarts in your field? But we realized while we were assessing all the various activities that we do, that there is a very strong linkage and there is a lot of merit when students and children and young adults come and see for themselves what nature has to provide. Also, as a mother of a 7-year-old child, on a very personal level, I have seen how involved and the first-hand impressions of the kind of impact environmental education can make in the way the future generations would seek answers to some of the wrongdoings of the previous generations and hopefully try and see solutions to set them right. So indeed, ecotourism opens a very personal space to let nature overpower your senses, not only to the flora and fauna that inhabits it, but also to a very different pace of life that our city dwellers have all but forgotten. An introduction to what Taj is doing in this field. About 7 to 8 years back, Taj realized that there was a big gap in the sphere of ecotourism, responsible ecotourism, and the present operators who are operating at 3-star or 2-star levels were really not following all the tenets of ecotourism, and probably we had something which we could share with, bring in some kind of best practices. And that is when we realized that while we may have been a household name in hospitality in this part of the world, we really do not have the expertise to run a truly ecotourism organization. That's when we joined hands with And Beyond, which used to be earlier called CC Africa or Conservation Corporation Africa, who are world leaders in running ecotourism lodges all across South and East Africa. And that is when Taj Safaris as a brand was born, with our first lodge in Bandhavgarh. Currently we have 4 lodges, all in Madhya Pradesh, which is really tiger country. Set in very rural areas, which also gives us a unique opportunity to study the man-environment impact saga with a reference point where man hasn't completely subjugated nature, where nature ceases to be a mere statistic and where life still follows the cycles of nature. And you can literally step back a few decades. India isn't exactly known for its wildlife, but just to give you some small statistics, India is about 10% the area of the African subcontinent, however has 40% of the mammal species. India is also home to many bird species, as many as 1400, compared to say South Africa, which has 650, apart from countless others. We're often asked in the company that we represent, why come to India to witness wildlife? Why not go to Africa? Why not go to South America? How is it different? How is it different from experiencing wildlife in Africa? Well, truth be told, it's actually quite different. African bush is open grasslands, clear visibility. Indian jungle, in contrast, is quite thick, and wildlife species are difficult to find. You never know what the next turn has in store. There is a whole thrill to spotting animals. And often you would find species that are not even found in Africa, like the spotted deer. Yes, you heard me right. Africa has a good variety of antelopes, but not even a single deer. Whereas Indian jungles teem with various varieties of spotted deers. Barasingha, for instance, which is a rare species of antelopes which is found in the jungles of Kanha. In fact, it's the only place in the world to come and see Barasinghas. The langurs, which again are very different from African baboons, for instance, and have had to adopt to an arboreal life with their long tails, which help them to stabilize on branches as they swing and jump around and, well, basically monkey around. Also have a symbiotic relationship with the deer, sit on top and throw half-eaten leaves down that the deer eat, and also alert them whenever they see a predator. So there are learnings in here of symbiotic relationships, from the smallest cat to the largest, with about 13 species of cats in between as compared to Africa, which has about 10. In some of the parks you also find sloth there. In Panna you find crocodile, and then of course gaur, which is the Indian bison, again a very endangered species, about twice the size of the Cape buffalo, the largest wild cattle in the world. However, I just need to skip on to a few slides. We take the example of one of our national parks, which is Bandhavgarh, which has a core reserve area of about 716 square kilometers, a buffer zone of about 820 square kilometers, about 50 villages within 1 kilometer, and approximately 50,000 people and 80,000 cattle. The stage is set for some kind of man-animal conflict. An average family requires about 8 to 10 kgs of firewood per day. This is a major cause of accidental encounters between man and wild animals. I'd just like to share some of the initiatives that we as a company are doing in the areas where we are set in. I would call them new solutions for old problems. We realized that the village women used to spend a large part of their day working on smoke generating chulhas that not only affect their lungs but also their eyes. And therefore at Taj Safaris we decided to work in this aspect, and we took this on as a project and replaced traditional chulhas with improvised smokeless chulhas supported with a hand operated blower. What you see there in red is the hand operated blower, and which keeps the temperature at the gives the right amount of air to keep the fire blowing, and the cement pipe on the side blows out the smoke into the air, and it's a big help for women folk who don't have to lean closer to the fire to blow onto it. Our guests have been really excited about the programs that we run. Another program that we run is the beekeeping project, which is run at Kanha. The traditional method of collecting honey results in the destruction of a species of bee called the wild rock bee. However, with our naturalists from Banjar Tola, which is our lodge there, we have been working with the village people and teaching them how to collect high quality honey without harming these bees. The conservation of these bees, as you would probably know, about 85% of the food is pollinated by bees, and hence they are the major pollinators of the world. There are also some of the things that these are some of the things that our young guests can learn when they stay at an eco-tourism lodge. We even have a full-fledged voluntourism model, a voluntourism product that is available, wherein guests, while they are staying at our lodges, including young children, can participate in the various projects that the lodges run. And so while you're at a holiday, not just is your holiday about feeling good about a luxurious environment, but also about giving back to nature, giving back to the society, etc. Where we work with our rural children in various school programs, where we also, interestingly, we found out that a lot of local school children who, even though were located right outside the national parks, had never really been inside. So they really didn't understand what is it in there that we are asked to forever not cut down trees, we are asked to protect the animals, because they simply could not afford the park fees. So from time to time, we pay the park fees along with our naturalists in our own vehicles, take them inside, get them to know about what is in the jungles worth protecting. Once guests and these children are back from the park, they can even spend a day together interacting as they capture impressions and feelings about the park. Sorry, it seems to have... In terms of food and beverage as well, we take good care to make sure that a lot of local ingredients, a lot of regional cuisines are given favor. Emphasis is on home style cooking. We also have various regional thalis. It could be celebrating the various regions in which we operate. We also have interesting linkages that we have been able to develop. We are recently working with the Tata Building India Foundation, whereby it's a platform on Facebook where which works with school children, and next month they will be focusing on ecotourism and how biodiversity is important to their lives, and we'll be running a full contest, etc. Also on Facebook from time to time, in fact about 2 to 3 tweets every day about interesting things which are happening in the jungle, etc. Just to get people's attention and just to get them to think about interesting ways to come and see biodiversity in its full glory. So in all, we'd just like to say that ecotourism can be a great tool in leaving behind a generation that is sensitive to Mother Earth and all her children.
I would just like to know one thing. Did you really try to find out what is the impact of ecotourism on the people who are living around the wildlife sanctuaries and the national parks, etc.?
Sure. Like I spoke about a few projects that we run. There are actually a lot of projects that we do. There is a lot of local population that we employ in our lodges. About 40% of people who work in our lodges are employed from the local population. So also it's not just about doing projects and having no monitoring system. There are nutritional programs that we run with the schools nearby, where there are people from the lodge who stay in those villages, who are made custodians of going back, running those programs and making sure that whatever grants or whatever work we are doing with them is being used for the right methods. So yes, we have control mechanisms also in place to make sure that a genuine impact is being made.
Thank you. Yeah, it's open for discussion. So once again, we are back here. We are listening to 5 speakers. We have listened to the various speakers over now, and say the house is open for discussion. If we recollect, go back to the pre-lunch hour and now also. And if you have any set of questions, you are always open to it. Please come back one by one. First, we will check as usual the questions, and then we will answer them at one go. I put to Pallavi was this. Yes, please come. Yeah.
Taj as a brand is very expensive. When we talk of environmental education,
We can't hear you here.
Yeah, so what I was saying is that Taj as a brand is very exclusive. When we talk of environmental education in schools, we would rather look at a program that is more inclusive, considering the scale, and considering the number of schools that are there. So, the program that you would be designing in the near future, because the entire ecotourism idea, it's a wonderful idea. But do you think that it would be very restrictive in the sense of its outreach? Because, again, coming back to the point that Taj is so exclusive that it might only be limited to very few schools across the country. So, how exactly do you look at addressing that issue?
Actually, we did realize this early on that there may be people who may be interested in this cause, but probably do feel that probably prices or rates at the Taj, specifically Taj safaris, would be prohibitive. To answer that, we have designed specially packaged rates focusing on students and schools. We have even been going to various schools trying to see if there could be a way in which we could generate their interest, including sending our naturalists who are all trained naturalists to talk about the jungle, the wildlife, etc., and then maybe get them to visit our lodges and see for themselves the kind of the different pace of life, the fauna, etc. So we have specially designed project rates which are much lower than that. Having said that, Taj Safaris is one brand of the Taj, but within the Taj we have various brands, and such projects are not just so. If there is a gateway hotel in Kiel, that operates at a completely different price point. And there are projects like this which are being done by them as well. They too operate in a wildlife close to a sanctuary. So it's not just Taj Safaris, of course, within the brands. There are different brands which could cater to it. So within the Taj, there would certainly be some kind of synergy that we could do that.
No more questions? Then I have a very small question to Pallavi once again. Sorry. See, I have been to Bandhavgarh quite some time back, yes? And I have been to also Rudhwa National Park. Around Rudhwa National Park, I found there were villages, there were also some local schools. Yeah, but what happened, see, that people over there were much more worried. They were not allowed to come anywhere close to the national park. As a result of it, what happened, the collection of say the kids, etc., for their day-to-day livelihood was really getting them lots of troubles. So, as a result of which, they are many a times lured into what we call as the wrong practices also. Yeah? If you try to find out that how far that is really still taking place, because you are into it. That's the thing.
Well, I wish I could say that it's not taking place, but it is, on at least a national level it is. But when I shared some bits of my presentation about the smokeless tuna projects, etc., those are some small steps that we have taken to address that problem. You also spoke about the children of that area have never been inside, don't know why, what is the reason behind conserving trees, conserving nature. We again have tried to make small steps in our own way. We're also trying to see if we could partner with larger organizations which are in this field, like maybe a WWF, and see how we could, we could get that platform to reach out to a much larger segment of people. But yes, you're right. Right now, we haven't reached that stage where these practices don't exist.
in this respect, I would just tell you that I went through one of the projects, but what they have done, the local people, the main folk, they have tried to make them guides. So that is how they are providing them with the livelihoods also. Besides that, because they are conversant with the place, they become much more useful to the tourists who come for it.
Yeah, I would like to take the discussion back to the pre-lunch session. Mrs. Connolly mentioned a very important point that we are missing, I guess, about leadership capacity among youth. She raised that point about we need to build leaders out of students. So it is not just a question, but it's like an open-ended, open discussion for all. As teachers and educators, how do we do that? Because in the restricted education system that we have, it is very difficult to develop leaders out of students. So that point was quite important about building leadership capacity, which ma'am mentioned. So I would like to hear some inputs from teachers that how do we do that? Do we just have them as members of Eco Club, or do we have kind of making them leaders even outside Eco Clubs?
You take up a discussion. School teachers. Any school teachers?
I'll be talking about it in my presentation.
Okay.
So I think after that it will be great. I'll tell you what to do.
Nice.
You can join us up.
I have a question for Pallavi. Do you think that Taj is the only company that's actually going for ecotourism, or is there a new surge of such companies coming and competing now? Is it becoming, the thing today?
Happy to state that there are many more companies coming into this fold. We may be the only recognizable brand, but there are a lot of smaller lodges which are coming in and working on similar principles of ecotourism. We are happy to state that a lot of our own ex-employees have now turned into lodge owners, and we welcome such competition because it sets the pace, it sets the platform for much more sustainable, responsible ecotourism, which is very welcome, and it will only help to put India on the map for such tourism. So, yes, there are many more who are joining the fray.
And is there an increase in customers for ecotourism?
A lot of interest. Happy to again state, when we had launched this product, we had thought this was going to be something which would appeal only to international travelers. At the end of the day, this was our belief that when Indians travel, all they want is luxury and all they want is to feel good about themselves. But we've been so happy with the kind of response when we started this product. About 80% of our revenues came from the international market and only 20% from the domestic market. As of last year, it's 50-50. So the domestic market too is looking for interesting places to go. People have been all across the world and they want to explore India. They're just looking for the right kind of product. So yes.
Ma'am, I have a question. Just out of curiosity's sake, how much would it cost if we actually come to Taj? Say a resort for a child, get a group of 25. How much would it cost a child? I am very interested because that's something we need to look at.
So we have packages, like I said. Our lodges are large enough. Some of them have 2 bedrooms. So we also look at 4 children to a room, so on and so forth. And we can look at the prices in the range of about 12,000 rupees on triple occupancy.
How many days trip?
One night trip.
That's why my question was related.
It includes everything. So don't look at it for just a room experience. It includes includes even your safari drives and things like that.
But isn't this, related to Madhu's question, it is because isn't it now then, kind of targeted only for the elite and really not reaching out to the, if we look at the Indian population, obviously it's made up of maximum middle class population, and when you have the whole concept of ecotourism where you're trying to reach out to the public to make them aware of, the local ecosystems, and you're actually by, kind of making it a luxury thing, you're depriving most of the people out of this
Well, it is a luxury product, I would say it isn't. But specifically for schools, we have brought our prices down. We've worked out, so it's 12,000 rupees for 4 children. And a lot of schools today are paying that kind of money and taking kids to exotic places. So it's not like schools are not spending that kind of money.
No, they are, but they are taking it from the students. They don't spend it themselves. So, the children who are from the elite class can afford to pay this, and that's the only group which can probably come and experience something.
If there is a school which is genuinely interested, we are very open to looking at these rates. Like I said, we've been speaking to schools. Interest has been there, but every year we are told not enough students have signed up for it. They want to go with their parents for summer vacations, etc. So if this is a forum full of people from the field, if there are people who are interested, please let us know. We'd be very happy to work something.
I think now I can call the session. Yeah? You are also? Okay.
Why don't you put it into a CSR initiative with the new kind of law that is coming in, so that you could perhaps open it to a very large population? Thank you.
Sure, that's a good point.
So I think call this session a close. Then we can go to the third session, addressing challenges. Yeah. I think hand over the mic.
I thank all the speakers and Professor J.C. Sharma for chairing the session and Ms. Rita Khanna for co-chairing it. Now we move on to the third session, addressing challenges. I request Mr. Satish Sinha to chair the session and Mr. Prajwal Suri to co-chair it. So we have 4 presentations in the session. First presentation will be made by Ms. Nita Goswami, Director, Environmental Education, WWF India. So please.
Why break the system which is working very well?
Thank you everybody. I have to just take you another program, please.
Now invite Nita Goswami, Director Environmental Education, WWF here. So please go ahead.
Let me save my records here. Let's see if I don't save it.
It's a little slow.
Good afternoon, everybody. And I think I need to bring the plot back to environment education, away from ecotourism and privileged and underprivileged customers. Yeah, but then we live in a world where we are all interconnected and there are no issues which are not connected. And as I've been hearing speakers before me, I had a presentation, but I think I'd rather skip various parts of it because at the risk of being very repetitive, I'd rather speak about, as the theme of this particular session is addressing challenges, what we at WWF India, the challenges that we are facing, because we are all talking about inclusion, about integration, and what is it that is education for sustainable development? And is it just about knowing the names of trees and birds and understanding your carbon emissions, or is it deeper and more intrinsic than that? So I'm just trying to, I'll probably try and look at that aspect more closely. I think this is a definition which I think captures the essence of what we are all trying to do. That if we are talking about sustainable development, where is the link to education in the formal system? And how do we get there? How do we arrive at this wonderful concept of sustainable development, the definition of which we are all very familiar with, and also UNESCO's definition about what is education for sustainable development, that it's a system which supports students to develop their capacities and motivations. And I always ponder about these two key words. It's about capacity and motivation. And when we say capacity, is it more and more information? Is it more rote information? Because if we look around the world, the countries with the most abysmal footprints, who live most unsustainably, they are the ones who are the most educated. So we sit in the middle of a world in which we need not more education, but a different kind of education. And this education is what we've all been trying to talk about, the three pillars that inside the ecological realm of this planet, which is only one planet that we have, and which is at this point of time extremely stressed. We need 1.5 planets to meet the needs of a world. And I often sit in these conferences and think that what is the footprint of our own conferences? And what is it that we are talking about? I mean, it's about all these little things. It's about all these little small plastic bottles that we use. So we have to begin from here, from what we do in our everyday lives. And in order to do this, we've got a program which has been running since 2008. And we like to call it that we have an ecosystem approach. Being a nature conservation organization, nature's always there in all your ideology. And hence, it's a partnership between big, small, different kinds of diverse agencies in society. And which means it starts from a funding agency sitting somewhere in Sweden, to WWF here, to the state education departments, to these local schools who are there outside national parks, to the district institutes of education and training, SCRT, NCRT. It's a whole ecosystem of different abilities who come together, and we are struggling to understand what is this new kind of education that we need to do so that our students have the capacity and the motivation to live in a way that they will contribute to sustainability both locally and globally. So what have we done? We've taken these 12 model schools in 4 different states, and these are all outside national parks. There are 4 schools in Sundarbans, 4 in Assam, 2 in Chhattisgarh and 2 in Madhya Pradesh. And when we've taken these pilot schools, we've also made linkages with the NCRT and CBSE and saying, these are the methodologies that we bring. Because how does the teacher translate this concept into action in the classroom? How do we disseminate value education in the classroom? So we have been struggling to put these pedagogies and methodologies together, and we begin from the extrinsic. That is, we begin with the green campus. And we change, because when you see physically things changing around you, it motivates you. And we pay a lot of attention to the process rather than the product. So everything that happens when we are resuscitating the campuses in our model schools, we make sure that this is done democratically, that this is owned by the students, that the community is engaged in doing this. And so we don't want it to just be that they've planted so many trees or they've cleaned litter in a place, but why are they doing it and how they're doing it is paid a lot of attention. And please remember that all the schools that I'm talking about, these are not schools in metros with very fancy facilities. These are marginalized schools, government schools, and then we have these clubs that we form, and then the students decide what are the issues that they would like to work on. For instance, in Sundarbans, in the island of Sagar, where there is the Ganga Sagar and there's a huge footfall of tourists during the religious season, the whole island is completely polluted and full of litter and garbage. And these students said that no, we don't want this happening to our place. And they designed a campaign. They took dustbins. They were like a green police during this religious fair. And they went from person to person saying, please don't litter. Here are dustbins, use this. So it's efforts like this where we are making the children understand that they're part of that place and they have a responsibility, and we're giving them this feeling that yes, even I can make a difference. And I think that's what an education for sustainability is all about. When you begin to understand where you fit in the big picture, you understand your strengths and your weaknesses, and you start drawing your own plans. Because in this kind of an education, there's not one solution which will fit all. It's extremely context sensitive. And so what works in Sundarbans may not work in Delhi, may not work in Assam, but each place will have its own specific solution. So we've been doing all of these things, but what I would like to flag here is the weather report. In Sundarbans again, because that's our oldest program, so we see more and more impact coming out of there. The ILA in 2009, the school attendance dropped drastically. So what does our headmaster of one of our model schools do? And I must tell you before I go on that when we begin work with the model school, we work with the whole school, right from the headmaster to the what they call fourth grade in these places, which is an extremely insensitive term to use, but we work with the whole school and we have a seminar, a workshop with them where we actually introduce the concept of sustainable development, and in their context they draw up an action plan as they envision how their school should be. And after this action plan is done is when we begin the green campus, the extrinsic bit. So in this weather report, the headmaster said, we have a geography laboratory, we have all the equipment, why can't the school generate a weekly kind of a weather report and share it with the locals so that they know that there's no storm coming tomorrow or day after and they're not scared to send their children to school. And they did this, and in the course of time, attendance picked up. And these are little incidents, but these are things which indicate to us that we are beginning to connect life and learning. That in that school, geography is not just to know the heights of mountains and the depths of seas. It's about understanding your world. Your learning knowledge is so that you have the ability to define for yourself that this is the kind of life I want, whether I live in Sundarbans or Delhi or Mumbai or wherever, to be able to give our students that kind of ability, that kind of critical ability, for which rote learning and learning for exams is definitely at a very, very far distance. Again, the participatory community video. We did this workshop just last month, and I'm sorry we can't show you the films now, it's constraint of time, but the way the children have articulated their visions of sustainability, that how is it, what is it that I want in my village, that we made them think in a particular way. And I think that is the kind of education we need. Very interesting in all our model schools or pilot schools is the community connection, where the school is like becoming a center of knowledge and support for the community living around it. If you see those ladies learning tailoring, they were doing over-harvesting of prawn seeds. Again, my example is from Sundarbans. And we had to give them an alternative. We couldn't just tell them that, stop harvesting. Because for them, conservation is not just about protection of nature. It's about striking that balance where you protect nature, but you also have to meet human needs. So the school offered that, listen, why can't we have tailoring classes? Why can't we teach these women tailoring in our school? And so these women come to the school in Sagar, in Bhabla Lakshman School, and learn tailoring, and which gives them an alternative. Then the school has set up integrated farming models where the parents of the students can come and actually learn from there. They have vermicompost pits where parents come and put in dung, and in return they get the compost for their kitchen gardens. So these kind of symbiotic relationship with the community, and every time a parent walks into one of our model schools, they learn something, and which is the whole idea, that it's not an isolated center of learning for students, but it's a place which is influencing its surroundings and being influenced by its surroundings. Sure. I've been shown the card, and I think I'll just take 1 minute to specially explain laureates, which is locally relevant themes, because we are all struggling with infusion and integration, and we have a methodology which we are working with at all our model schools, where we get teacher teams to do lesson planning. There's a process and there's a way in which it is done, and it is all planned within the curriculum using local issues, but it's interdisciplinary, and hence it's connected to all subjects, but it is related to not some esoteric theme happening somewhere else, but right under their nose, to which students can relate. And we constantly monitor and evaluate our work, and we hope to get somewhere, and in a couple of years' time to be able to say that yes, this is the new kind of education that we want upscaled into many, many parts of the country. Thank you very much.
Shall we take the next person in? We take all the questions. Lastly, do you all agree? Right, thank you. Then we take 10 minutes, ma'am. Madhu Bhattacharya. Thanks for coming up the dais. You have used the liberty and the opportunity. Thank you.
I had been given just 10 minutes, so I'm going to read instead of talk, because talking is going to, explaining is going to take a lot of time.
Take 15 minutes. The chairman
Oh, that's
is very,
huge.
I don't know why it gives you that opportunity, but it does.
I'm going to read fast. Yeah. Please, voice. Lights off. Yeah, she's alive, she's beautiful. Peacefully लगाओ ना. जितना मैंने टाइम सेव किया था इसमें जाना है. हो रहा है. इन्होंने चलाया भी था. अरे यार, इसको चला दीजिए ना सीधा. ये तो टाइम वेस्ट करने के लिए इसको लगा दीजिए.
Can you see that it's getting on?
Yeah.
Problem?
Yeah, it's with. What?
Lights off कर रहे हैं.
छोड़ दीजिए और फिर जल्दी से ऑन कर दीजिए. I have to read full screen. It's okay. I think let the people see like this. Voice, sound. So, आप पहले के साउंड चला रहे थे. मैं वापस कर रही हूँ. हम ऐसा नहीं देखेंगे. किसी और को बोलेंगे. तेज करिए अभी ना जरा
Good afternoon. From what we just saw, yes, our earth is alive, finite, beautiful, hurting, worth protecting because she's our home. This short documentary was made by Sanctuary Asia. Ladies, gentlemen, and dear students, we are all on a tightrope. Planetary destruction is inevitable because we continue to do what we do. We need to first change our tracks and revamp our education system, weaving the thread of environmental consciousness through all the academic subjects. And I've literally been bullied by Mr. Bettner to come here and stand here and talk about what I've been doing. So sir, I'm going to read it fast and quick. I have been an environmental educator for the past 25 years with the Sri Ram schools. Seeing the degradation all around, I made this subject mandatory in the Sri Ram school much before the ruling of the Supreme Court some 23 years back by making my own modules, grade-wise, and set the ball rolling. Whenever we were faced by an environmental crisis, I made the school a model for the other institutions to follow. With the help of Eco Lead School program of Delhi government, Dr. Sabata's enthusiasm, we were able to succeed by creating that ripple effect. In 1997, when the water table had depleted by 7 to 8 meters in South Delhi, with the help of Center for Science and Environment and Delhi Groundwater Authority, we implemented the rooftop water harvesting and have been harvesting 1.89 million liters annually. We shared our implementation process with the CM, Mrs. Sheila Dixit, and all the other RWAs and the school principals so they could do the same. When Delhi groaned with the 3 landfills being full, I was inspired by a documentary, Victims of the Garbage Dump, by Plan India, screened during the Vatavaran Film Festival organized by Center for Media Studies. Within 2 months' time in 2000, we were the first school to become the Zero Garbage Zone. With the help of the then MCD Commissioner, Mrs. Reena Ray, the system got replicated in 1,800 MCD schools and in far off Sikkim and in Meerut. Ladies and gentlemen, all throughout these projects, the students have been working at the grassroots level with the rag pickers at Bhalaswa and Nizamuddin, and they were taken to Yamuna. When Sariska lost all its tigers, we formed the Junior Tiger Task Force under the Kids for Tigers program by Sanctuary Asia and worked to eradicate poaching by rehabilitating the Mogyas by giving them alternative means of livelihood. We held hands with a local NGO for 5 years and generated 15 lakhs towards this unique conservation model, all done by the students. The support received from my students, teachers and parent community needs to be applauded. In the process of becoming a mercury-free zone, I thank Mr. Ravi Agarwal and Mr. Sajeev Sinha for taking care of all the mercury collected and helping us get rid of this toxic metal. Thank you so much. You'll be surprised, but after your talk, many of our adults removed their old dental fillings. That kind of an impact is had. Solar electrification of 7 villages and forest chowkis was undertaken by us under the Light a Billion Lives program by Terry. Presently, we are working to save our snow leopards in the Himalayan region with the help of WWF. Thank you, Meeta, for all your support. There are limitless projects with Terry, Tetra Pak, Development Alternatives, Chintan, Corbett Foundation, Navdanya and others, which I am unable to mention due to the lack of time. My thanks goes out to all the NGO partners for their knowledge and support in helping the Sri Ram School be what it is today. I've shifted base to Agra but continue to work in Delhi, Gurgaon, Mewat and the schools of Agra, where I'm taking the Spiha and Sanctuary Cup program forward and also taking sessions with the B.Ed and other students at the Diyalbagh Educational Institute, the 3rd ranking deemed university in India. We have received immense support. I have seen the generations change. Initially, some 20 years back, I did not get the respect. We were often viewed as a bunch of tree huggers. This field also got relegated as an after-school activity or as an elective course. EE being later interdisciplinary, we tried getting the class teachers to teach. It felt good, but in reality, when something is everybody's business, it turns out to be nobody's business. I sometimes had my teachers completing the syllabus of other subjects during the EE time. But now, I learned that CBSE and ICSE are dovetailing EE with other subjects. It's a welcome move, but I wish it had been done 25 years back. I have a few suggestions to make. Environment education should be made mandatory for all teaching courses. The primary school, teachers program, B.Ed, M.Ed, by addressing it in the syllabus. It has to be learned by all the teachers, be irrespective whether they come from the arts or the science background. Environment awareness camps, nature awareness camps, interaction with NGOs should be initiated during their study period. All schools and colleges should conduct reorientation for teachers every 6 months because of new developments and consequently new knowledge and information. In senior schools, discussion with different subject experts should take place with the students simultaneously so that they are able to understand the different shades from science, social studies and economics point of view. Visual impact, the 6th point, has a great learning. Short documentaries on prescribed topics and themes should be screened for students and teachers and should be there in the curriculum. Awards should be instituted to teachers who have contributed towards environment consciousness in the levels of village, district, state and national levels. I have this unique opportunity of teaching across a wide section of society simultaneously, and let me assure you that the gap is immense, but the students of the smaller towns and villages are ready to assimilate the new information. So it's the teacher community which faces the biggest challenge of creating and generating the new India. I have a driver. He has actually studied up to class 8. जब भी मैं उससे कुछ पूछती हूँ, whenever I ask him, what is this? He tells me, I have studied in the village school. मैंने कहा, so what? You studied in the village school, but you have studied. And it's only after I started teaching in the village schools, I knew what it meant. Teachers, we need the teachers to be trained. Like the doctors, they need to take the Hippocratic oath. That the entire generations, the change rests upon us, not on anybody else. Children listen to the teachers, not to the parents. तो अगर आज रास्ते पे कोई थूक रहा है, कोई खड़े होके कुछ और कर रहा है, I actually blame myself. Thank you.
Thank you, Madhu Bhatnagar. I think that was a very inspiring talk, and a lot of inputs from you, a lot of suggestions which perhaps we'll take into the discussion and have some discussion on some of the suggestions you made. They are very sound, and perhaps we can discuss that later. I'll take it forward now, and we have the next presentation by. Okay, we now have Geeta Raju, Global Coordinator, St. Mark's Public School. Can I invite Geeta Raju?
Third, which is the third? Which is the third?
Good afternoon, everybody. This says issues on ground and experience. I'm from an educator's diary. Since morning I've been listening to everybody speak, and everybody talks about all the things that we do, we have to do. Here I am. I'm not actually a science teacher. I'm not an environment education teacher. I'm just passionate about environment, all because I
led a group of students to attend a climate camp in Denmark in 2009. I saw my own students interacting with others, students from different countries, the corporates, even the prince of Denmark. And when I came back and we also charged up, that was the time I met Sodiji. I call him Sodiji, not Mr. Sodi. And that's how our association started. I became too passionate about this. I have too many challenges as an educator. I think I should start with the presentation. This is just the first slide. Right. We spoke about practical and theoretical. I still feel somewhere it is theoretical. It's not very practical. I would have preferred all my students, there are just handful, 5 or 6 students who are representing at this point of time my school. We have a vibrant eco club, and we have youngsters who say they want to be part of the eco club because we do a lot of practical things, yet I feel there's still so much to do. The second point, lack of hands-on experience in volunteering. Volunteering actually is not paying. Paying, I don't mean monetary. What I mean is that there are students, there is an example here who's sitting here, who's been to so many places, who's represented the school, and who's done extremely well, and has accumulated loads and loads of certificates for all of these things that he's been doing for environment. Eventually, when it came to DU admission, those certificates were of no use. He got 95%, 96 point something was the cutoff, 1 point something, but with the loads and loads of certificates that he had, nothing helped, because DU said they didn't have any category wherein these certificates really fit in. That was my challenge. I'm speaking in front of a few students. Maybe they get demotivated saying that this is not going to help me later, so why should I do that? But we haven't given up. This presentation has been made by him, not by me. That's the kind of passion that we have as a teacher, as a student. And I don't want any student to give up. We need to change, we have to change the system. This is my challenge. This is the issue that is really troubling me. A few months ago, I went to the Times of India office, I spoke to the lady there. I did say that this has to be made. I mean, you talk about all the different debate certificates now, give us certificates now, but why not these certificates? And what he did is no mean achievement. He was in the climate camp summit in Denmark. Last year he was out of the 2 students who represented India in Washington in the DLF Pramerica Spirit of Community Awards. He was one of the students. He came back with that certificate, even that did not matter. So what do we do? That's my topic. Right, now harsh realities, inculcating realities, we've spoken about all those things. Everybody has spoken about that. We are inculcating all those things that were shown by the other schools. We're doing everything. I don't need to talk about any of those things. Yet, again coming to the same thing, marks. We are marks oriented. We want 97 and 98 and 99, and we forget that the child is doing so many things. I could relate much to Madhulika and whatever she had to say, because students are overburdened. Somewhere they do get overburdened, and I feel that becomes a problem. Right, as an educator, There are lots and lots of opportunities, no doubt. But then 20,000 and 2,500 doesn't work in reality. We, after the conference that we did, an international conference, AEC conference, there were people who wanted to work with us. We were planning, I mean, that's a dream that I still have, that I want a book to be written by students of our own country as well as international community. Talk about your local problems. The book written by students. And we have almost reached the stage where we could have done that. But finance was a major problem. Getting a book printed is not an easy task. So that's been shelved. And when we had spoken about this to our students that we are going to write a book, the kind of enthusiasm that was there, and slowly it faded. Bureaucracy, obviously there's a lot of red tape. Right, these are my experiences. I started as an environment activist maybe from Bright Green Youth, that was in 2009 to 2013, thanks to CEE, and I really worked a lot with them, and I look forward to working with them because it's been a wonderful journey. We went for Bright Green Youth with just this thing. It was the first trip for the students, private camp. They were going to attend something, foreign country, all these things. We never knew what an impact it would have on us. It was later, when the camp finished, they decided they would bring back all their ideas and implement. Implementation was EcoVision. We started celebrating Earth Day as an Earth Week, a week long. And it was all organized, done everything by students. Teachers have no role to play. And then online collaborations, ICT, somebody spoke about ICT in the morning session. We do a lot of online collaborations. We have lots of websites where our students work and the other country students also work. So we do all the work, but I still feel that the end result, the admission into a good college in DU, is still a big question mark. That is my challenge. These are certain questions that arise. Help in admission. Again, how to ask students, how to convince parents, because everything, all these things are beyond school hours activity, many of these things. Today also they're all sitting here, school time is over. But how to convince parents, what are they going to get after that if they don't get into a good DU college? And I hope nobody gets demotivated, because we are still fighting, we will fight it out, and I'm sure one day things will change. Thank you very much. That's it. I have could somebody help me, please?
Thank you, ma'am, for a very nice presentation and your emotions and passion.
Yeah, I'm quite emotional.
I must tell you one thing, that certificates will not go waste. It will build an attitude which will be much longer creating an impact later on in life. It's an attitude which makes the change. And these mere papers are not the only symbol or symbolic of one's own personality. And I think so they will make better decision makers tomorrow under your guidance. Thank you very much. I think the group agrees there.
Yeah. I just have a short little movie that I would like to share. Thank you.
That we were asked to enter the BGMAN contest, and we were quite hopeful of our selection. Even some of our ideas were top rated. It was towards the end of April that we got the confirmation of our selection and received the invitation letter. From there started our actual BGY journey.
We are really excited about going abroad and looking for the environment for the last game. We are life responsibility on our shoulders, our ethical obligations to work on our very time. Representing us, our country, and so we need to work seriously. Climate change has been home city experiencing weather fluctuation. So we thought that this was the time to act. After all our visa and passport hurdles, we finally left home to embark on a new journey.
We reached 2 days early, hence we got some time to have a taste of Danish culture. On the 7th of August, we had to register ourselves for India, and we also did some sightseeing and shopping with our host families at Swagat. I ended up staying at a 200-year-old house, quite a well-maintained one, and our host families were so casual with us that they asked us to address them with their first names. We feel that we only still have that from this area. And I was happy all the ways that they were very honest and they kept me the office and providing the best. My mommy, especially my grandfather, were the least associated with my family. I was also very scared, but I had a great time and I felt that I found a new home for myself.
The day started with a morning session where we sang the song 500 Miles that was specially written for the camp. We were then divided into our groups where we met our counterparts from different countries. We had a couple of brainstorming sessions that helped our idea to combat global climate challenges. Then in the evening, it was the official opening ceremony and the crown prince of Denmark was the chief guest. The proud moment for us was when we were told that money would be in the red carpet with the royal prince and other dignitaries. Also, private parents include Charlotte from Denmark and Vicky Victor from Chemist Academy on the scene.
We have to build prototypes of ideas, and for that, we receive various coaching. We have many charts and presentations of mindset. We have the unique baby and last year was fun. After we give our feedback to each other as well.
The morning session of the day was quite different from the other days. The crowd had a mixed emotion of excitement and sorrow. Kashif Goyal showcased his paintings to the audience and his emotions behind each one of them.
I felt proud to keep my painting in front of the audience. After the love of my painting, but I was honored to show my painting to the audience.
The closing ceremony of the camp was held at the campus universe with the musical concerts. We made goodbye to our newfound friends. We left the place with a heavy heart, but also with sweet memories and a pledge to work towards a greener life.
It wasn't just an education trip, we had a share of fun too. We stayed 2 days at Copenhagen and the city was far beautiful beyond our expectations. The first time playing to Italy, the biggest amusement park in Europe.
I was very excited to have heard of that huge roller coaster. Yes, I know. And it was difficult to convince man. And once we convinced him, it was amazing.
Next morning, we, like intelligent children, took the city map and walked down to see various places like the Royal Library, the Opera House, and finally, we reached the Little Mermaid, a wonder to see.
Yes, and it was amazing to be non-vegetarian also. I still remember the expression on my
We were sad that this might be the end of the journey, but it was actually the beginning of a new change.
We decided to share our knowledge and experience with others and in a way sensitize them about the biggest global climatic threats. Hence, this movie is a humble effort in this direction.
Okay, thank you very much. These three presentations were really very open and discussed lots of issues. We've got now the students coming in and some of the teachers. Is that right? Some of the students? So, students from Shriram School. I don't have the details with me. Please introduce yourself. Please introduce yourself. And then Rajiv has given his way to one of the persons called Banu Haldar. He also will make present.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mishra Shanti. I study in class 10 and I'm a student of the Shriram School, Aravali. I have been a part of the Paryavaran Club in my school for the past 3 years and I've spoken at a few events before. But this is the biggest one I have ever been a part of, so please excuse me for being a little nervous. When Madhuraj called me and told me that I had to speak here today about how our generation implements or can implement teachings in environmental education and whether we would like to see any changes in the way that it is taught us. I thought that okay, this is a big topic for just my ideas. So I went forth and decided to take a couple of student opinions. Now I study in an ICSE schools and most of my friends are also in class 10, so I won't lie to you. When I put forth this idea, they said that learning another subject is not something that they were ready to do right now. But turns out we're pretty keen to have interdisciplinary teaching. They thought that they could relate to environment more when it was taught through their favorite subjects, and even more when it was taught through activities and brainstorming sessions and field work and all of that. So here, I know it's a little presumptuous, but here is the Student's Guide to Environmental Education. Through the ages, elementary and junior school. So today, while coming in the car over here from school, me and my teacher was just discussing that how it's difficult to learn a language, to read and write a language once you grow up. But when you're a kid, when you're a very little kid, learning ABCD, nobody even remembers how they did it, or nobody even remembers how they learned reading, which is what we need to do with environmental studies. It needs to start in nursery. It needs to start in kindergarten. Kids need to know that trees are our friends. Because it needs to be a part of our life. Can anyone in this room now ever forget ABCD? But I'm sure many people who have done Sanskrit and French can forget it because they didn't do it from the very beginning. So I'd like to say that at least in elementary school and in junior school, formation of roots are very important. In middle school, increasing interest and participation. I would like to tell you a little story here. I am a theatre maniac. I can start anywhere, anytime. I can do it on stage, I can do it on the road. And so when my theatre teacher came to me and said, Mishra, look, there's this opportunity for you to do theatre. It's linked with the Tiger Project. So if you're interested, just give me your name, I'll pass it along to Madhuraj. So I said, okay, it's theatre, let me do it. That was 3 years ago. I now work more for the environment than I do theatre. Because that's the power of this, power of our environment, power of working for a cause like this. No matter why you join, but once you join, you will never be able to leave it. Which is why, to attract kids to come work for the environment, it's important that we have activities that cater to their likes. If you like painting, then paint about the environment. If you like singing, sing about the environment. If you like movie making, make movies about the environment like the one ma'am just showed us, which was amazing. In fact, even we made a movie about saving tigers. And when you do these things, and when you enjoy doing them so much, without realizing, your passion for it increases, because now you don't associate it to a classroom or to pressure anymore. You associate it to fun. You associate it to feeling like you're in power. Like, people, your voice has power. People will listen to you. high school. It's a tough place to be in. 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th, we're all worried about colleges and we're all worried about jobs. But if we implement what I just talked about, it won't matter anymore. Because then these things will be ordinary to us. It will be like eating food. It will be like brushing our teeth. So then it won't be like an extra burden. Then we just be so used to working for the environment that, studies are do we ever worry about brushing our teeth and studying at the same time? No, we don't. So we have to have the environment, working for the environment, so ingrained in us that by the time we step out into the world, whatever we may be, we can be actors, we can be journalists, we can be entrepreneurs, but we will always work for the environment because it's second nature to us. Initiatives that help. So, how much time do I have? Okay. Initiatives that help. The Seva Tigers program, I'm sure most of you have heard it with all the ads with Dhoni and everything. But what we've done in our school, every year we're in association with an organization called Kids for Tigers. And every year they send a tiger ambassador. They go to Ranthambore, various national parks. Go to the national parks. Learn from the forest guards, learn from the villagers, learn from obviously our camp counselors, but most of all we learn from the environment. We make sure we go for at least 3 safaris a day on these camps. We've even been to Ranthambore from our school before, and these have been for the rehabilitation of the Mogia tribes and various other tribes whose name I can't remember right now, my apologies, and also with the poachers. The poachers, we've rehabilitated their family. We rehabilitated their wives. Their wives now work. And these are things, when you do these things as a kid, when you're 15 and you're already doing these things, they give you so much confidence that everything, you feel like you can conquer anything. Lighting up 1 billion lives. We recently had a newspaper run in our school where all houses, or like Ma'am said, we have houses in our school, so where all houses donated newspaper as much as they could over a span of a week. We sold it all to Gaddi and generated, if I'm not wrong, approximately 90,000 rupees. And these 90,000 rupees were given to a night school in Noida known as GSV, to buy solar lamps. So that's the kind of fundraising we do. Inter-school and intra-school activities, like I just spoke about it, they need to cater to your needs, they need to cater to your likes, and you will automatically enjoy it. Waste management in and around school. A lot of people have spoken about this, so I'll just skip this one. Conservation of resources in and around school, again. We're in partnership with an organization called Green Open, and I urge all teachers here to make sure that their school also come in association with them, because Green Open comes and takes all the recycled paper, all waste paper from our school. So we collect 100 kgs and we give Green Open a call and they'll come and they'll take it and we get points. And what we can do with these points are our report cards. However bad may it be, our report cards are made out of paper. So we get points from Green Open, and then in return for all the paper that we give to Green Open, they give us points, and we can encash those points for the jackets of our report cards. The WWF Snow Leopard project is tied in with fundraising. Fundraising, like I just talked about, the newspaper run, we have bake sales in school, we go around selling paper bags to stores around our school. We're lucky to place in a place where there are a lot of stores. So this year, our project on fundraising, all the money that we collect this year will go to the WWF Snow Leopard project to buy camera traps. As snow leopards are very shy creatures, they're very rare, they're very shy, they don't move around in a lot of packs. So it's very important to have camera traps. We've already raised 11,000 rupees through fundraisers, and we will be sending these to them. Branching beyond your own school. Like Madhu ma'am just said, everybody in this hall right now knows everything, knows what we need to do for environmental education. Unfortunately, this seminar needs to be for the people who don't know about it. But since we can't have so many people here, it's our job to branch beyond our own school and take this to as many corners of the world as we can. We went to Mewat. It's a school in Haryana, just 40 kilometers away. And like Madhu ma'am said, the difference, it will shock you. But the students are so nice, they want to learn, and it's a student-to-student interaction. So when our teachers spoke to them, they still seemed a little apprehensive, but then our teachers left the room and we were speaking to them like how we would speak to our friends. And you could feel the difference of the energy in the room. So that's why student-to-student interaction is even more important. Concerning what everybody's talked about, so I will leave that. And the last thing that I would like to say, that while it's really important for the students to be aware, unfortunately it's even more important for teachers to be aware. So I'd like to tell all teachers from all schools, when they go back, when you're talking in the staff room, like we're talking to our friends, please tell all the teachers what you have learned today. And we will try to do that with everybody. Because ma'am is right, I don't listen to my mom as much as I would listen to Sonika ma'am. But I will listen to her because she's my teacher, and that's why you may not realize, but you actually have a huge grasp upon what we do. So before we learn anything and we understand anything, it's more important for you to be passionate about the environment. That's all I have to say today. Thank you.
That was very encouraging, refreshing.
Thank you.
Excellent. I must say that I think sitting here and listening to you, it gives me the impression that a lot of good things are happening, and you people are involved in such amazing kind of work. And I think there is a lot of optimism. People like Sori and myself were just discussing. I think the future is in very safe hands. That's all I can say.
Thank you.
Very safe hands. People like you talking about environment. I think it's time for us to listen to some of the things and learn from you all.
Thank you.
Great, I think
Thank
that's
you.
very good of
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
So good morning. I'm Vedant from another campus in Nishtha School, and I regret to inform you that I am a bit too short for this podium. But I think I've been hearing what everyone has to say today, and pretty much everything that I could have thought of has already been covered. So I'm just going to say one thing. That school is essentially the root of all of our lives. What we are, what our personality is like, what our behavior is, who we really are fundamentally, it all stems from school. So if you think of having environment education in schools today, imagine what a model classroom would look like, let's say 30 years from now. Let's take a classroom. In there they have been for the last 6 years learning environmental education. When they grow up, who knows where those children are going to be? Let's say there's a child called Bob, fancy name, Bob, and he grows up to become an accountant. Now if you think about it, Bob in his own little job will still have all of that environmental education in the back of his head. So whatever decisions he makes will be influenced by those lessons he's been given from Madhu ma'am or from any other teacher who he's had in school. If you have a banker, he's had these classes, he's not going to invest in any oil company which doesn't have the proper mission statement. He'll only invest in one which has a green mission statement. So this way, you have this network of people who care about the environment all over the world. And with that, the power to save the world. Now that's pretty much it for what I had written for this. I'm going to put that away. And I'm going to now move on to what I've learned from what happened today. So let's move to the complete fundamentals of what happened today is thought. Whatever we do essentially comes down to our thinking and the way we think. And if we can change that, that holds the key to everything else. It's the master key. Now, let me take an example in e-waste. E-waste is something that many people have talked about today. And we've been talking about how we should recycle e-waste, how down the line when we should go to landfills, recycle the parts, melt them down, make new things. But what if we change our thinking method? What if instead of saying let's recycle all this waste that's being generated, why don't we go to the root of the problem? Where the e-waste actually stemming from? Why don't we go to the mobile phone manufacturers and instead of letting them produce all this waste and then recycling it, why don't we go to them and make sure that waste is not made in the first place? Why don't we go to the mobile phone manufacturers and show them different ways of making their phones so that that waste isn't generated at all?
that will save money and in the long run change a lot. And this all happened by simply thinking differently. Another example is something that my school's actually been taking on and my friend Kunal has actually been spearheading, is Tetra Paks. I'm sure pretty much everyone in this room has seen those little boxes which we all drink juice from. There's actually someone upstairs who sells those, and a lot of us don't really look twice. Yes, we drink juice from it, let's chuck it away. Now Tetra Pak recently had a problem. They had these packages from which people drank juice, but when people threw it away, it created litter. Inside the Tetra Pak you had plastic, you had aluminium, that didn't biodegrade, and that created massive amounts of litter. And that, in the long run, caused pollution. So Tetra Pak decided to sit down and think about things in a new way. And with that they came out with a new packaging system, which came in 6 layers, was very simple, you used it the same way, and when you were done, you could actually hand it back to Tetra Pak, hand your empty package back to Tetra Pak, they'd separate the layers, recycle all of them separately, and make new Tetra Paks with those packs. Now just by thinking about things separately, you've seen how Tetra Pak has suddenly revolutionized the packaging industry and now they're one of the greenest companies out there. Now, I was sitting here right now and we've just been given a little packet and the booklet I received was one about waste management. So I was flipping through the statistics and doing some calculations. Now quite frankly my math is horrible. But with numbers this large I think we can be pretty safe. I saw that the industry of recycling, generally recycling e-waste and plastic and metal in India comes around to, we need to look at that again, 975 crore rupees a year. All of this is coming from just the industry of recycling e-waste. Now with an industry that large and with that much money in it, don't you think that's viable enough? It's an incentive for people to join the industry. And it's a self-running program. Now the one thing many people say is, okay, we want to do good for the world, but how will we go on doing it? I won't be in this school forever. How will it go on? Who will carry it on? That's why I don't want to start this. That's where the key comes in programs just self-running. Programs which don't need you to stand over there like a chaperone and pointing in the right direction. You need a program which will stand on its own, run itself, and everything happens just as it is without someone watching over the process. And this industry is an example of that. Because it's self-running, it creates its own profit, that profit goes into completing the loop of recycling more products. And it's these sort of self-running projects which I think will again make a big difference. One of the last points I want to talk about is simply networking. Now we had a speaker today who told us about the new website that the government's launching, which allows different schools and different people to reach out to each other in the field of environment. I think that's a great idea because these days if you think about it, I right now, if I go onto my computer, I can tell what my friend sitting in Bangalore is currently eating. That's what Facebook does. I know where he is right now, what he's eating and what he thinks of that particular piece of paratha. That's the power of social media these days. And if we can apply that to the environment, we don't need to know, I don't necessarily need to know what man's eating, but definitely she could tell me things about what to do in the future. That would help me a lot. So I'd like to wrap up by telling you again that by putting environmental education into schools, you're basically creating a new world. Down the line, 50, 60 years on, you're creating an entire new generation of people who are interested in the environment, and that will eventually change and save the world. Thank you.
You were very forthright in what you said, and we wish you a great luck and life. I think me and Satish, we certainly agree that this future is in the safe hands. We did some wrongs. They are going to do the right things. Good luck. I hope the heart agrees to them. Next one in line. We have another teacher from Chhattisgarh who has been doing some excellent work, Panu Haldar. Will you just please be there? 10 minutes, 12 minutes for each of these presentations?
5 minutes only.
Okay, thank you. And then we have Aman Agarwal and then Shreya, 2 more students.
Good evening everyone. Allow me to please explain the presentation in Hindi because we are from Chhattisgarh, Bilaspur. एंड आप प्रेजेंटेशन पे देखिए, एक्चुअली ये जो प्रॉब्लम है वो हर स्कूलों में है। हम लोगों ने लोकल लेवल पे कैसे इस प्रॉब्लम को सॉल्व किया, और ये हर स्कूलों में, चाहे वो दिल्ली हो, चाहे बॉम्बे हो, चाहे बिलासपुर में भी हमारे स्कूल में प्रॉब्लम था। हमने कैसे बच्चों के मोटिवेशन से इस प्रॉब्लम को सॉल्व किया, ये मैं आपको बताना चाहता हूँ। This one is our school, that is भारत माता इंग्लिश मीडियम और हिंदी मीडियम स्कूल। दिस इज छत्तीसगढ़ बिलासपुर, जहाँ से हम लोग आए हुए हैं। ये हमारा स्कूल है। ये स्कूल एक्चुअली 2 शिफ्ट में चलता है, इंग्लिश मीडियम एंड हिंदी मीडियम। ये इंग्लिश मीडियम स्कूल जो है सवेरे 7:05 पे शुरू होता है और 11:50 को ऑफ होता है। एंड सेकेंडरी जो हमारा हिंदी मीडियम स्कूल है वो 12 बजे से शुरू होता है, शाम को 5 बजे तक चलता है। इस पूरे समय के अंदर में मोर देन 2000 स्टूडेंट्स जो होते हैं, उस 10 मिनट के टाइम गैप पे जब भारत माता इंग्लिश मीडियम छूटती है और हिंदी मीडियम जब स्टार्ट होता है, उस स्कूल गेट के सामने जमा होती है। और हमारा जो ये स्कूल है वो रेलवे स्टेशन के पास में है। उसी सेम टाइम पे कुछ पैसेंजर ट्रेन भी पहुंचते हैं, जिसके कारण से ऑटो रिक्शा और जो डेली ट्रैवलर है वो भी बच्चों को लेने के लिए पहुंचते हैं, और बहुत बड़ा कियोस्क जो है वो स्कूल के सामने होता है। नेक्स्ट, इंपॉर्टेंस ऑफ द प्रोजेक्ट। आखिर इस प्रोजेक्ट का इंपॉर्टेंस क्या है? हमने स्कूल के सामने स्टूडेंट्स के सेल्फ मोटिवेशन से एक्सीडेंट्स को रिड्यूस किया, एयर पॉल्यूशन को रिड्यूस किया, नॉइज पॉल्यूशन को रिड्यूस किया, सेविंग टाइम, जो ट्रैफिक के कारण जो वहाँ कंजेशन होता था उसमें टाइम को सेव किया, सॉल्यूशन ऑब्टेन बाय सेल्फ मोटिवेशन एंड इंटरनल यूनिटी ऑफ द स्टूडेंट, प्रमोशन ऑफ सेल्फ डिसिप्लिन अमॉन्ग द स्टूडेंट, इंस्पिरेशन फॉर अदर स्कूल एंड एजुकेशनल इंस्टीट्यूशन। नेक्स्ट, सबसे पहले हमने डाटा क्रिएट किया कि स्टूडेंट्स को ये पता लगाया कि कौन कौन से स्टूडेंट किस डायरेक्शन से आते हैं, जिसके कारण से स्कूल के सामने इतना बड़ा कियोस्क होता है। नेक्स्ट, दिस वन इज आवर स्कूल बिल्डिंग। आपको दिख रहा है कि स्कूल बिल्डिंग है। सबसे पहले जो लोग फ्रंट साइड ऑफ द रोड, जो गिरजा चौक की तरफ से आते हैं, उनके हमने अलाउ किया कि वो अपनी जो गाड़ियां हैं वो गेट 4 से एंटर करें और बिहाइंड द चर्च स्कूल में पार्किंग करें। नेक्स्ट वन, देखिए वो आते हैं और स्कूल चर्च बिल्डिंग के साइड में प्रमोट करते हैं। नेक्स्ट, जो अपोजिट साइड से आते हैं, तितली चौक से आते हैं, नेक्स्ट, ये स्कूल के अपोजिट साइड के बिल्डिंग में रखते हैं। नेक्स्ट, दिस वन इज द नेक्स्ट। नेक्स्ट, नेक्स्ट, पेरेंट्स के लिए जो बच्चों को लेने और छोड़ने आते हैं रोड के बाजू में रखते हैं। नेक्स्ट, नेक्स्ट, ऑटो रिक्शा के लिए भी हमने जगह अलॉट कर दिया। नेक्स्ट वन, अलग अलग डायरेक्शन के लिए ऑटो रिक्शा के अलग अलग जगह अलॉट किया। नेक्स्ट, नाउ हिंदी मीडियम, जो 11:50 के पहले आते हैं वो गेट 4 से एंट्री करके प्लेग्राउंड के ऑपोजिट साइड में रखते हैं साइकिल। नेक्स्ट, नेक्स्ट, जो आफ्टर 11:50 स्कूल लगने के बाद आते हैं, दैट इज द पार्किंग बिटवीन द गेट 3 एंड गेट 4। नेक्स्ट, हमने अपने स्कूल प्रिंसिपल से बात की, पेरेंट्स से बात की, ऑटो रिक्शा से बात किया। नेक्स्ट, स्ट्रेटेजी टू बी फॉलोड, काउंसलिंग, कंट्रोलिंग द टाइम गैप, रिलीजिंग them in queue, duties should be allotted to the school staff. Next, now achievement. एक्चुअल जो कियोस्क होता था वो इरेगुलर क्रॉसिंग की वजह से होता था। जब उनको प्रॉपर पार्किंग मिल गई तो उन्होंने प्रॉपर अलॉटेड जगह में गाड़ियों को पार्क किया। और अचीवमेंट हम लोगों ने 6153.63 kg हार्मफुल गैसेस हमने लो कार्बन लाइफस्टाइल की बुक से कैलकुलेट किया। थैंक यू सोनी सर। और ह्यूमन आवर ट्रैफिक के कारण से 737.5 ह्यूमन आवर सेव किया। जो एक्सीडेंट्स होते थे स्कूल के सामने बच्चों के साथ में वो भी रिड्यूस हुआ। नेक्स्ट, इस एक्टिविटी के लिए हमने एक स्लोगन भी बनाया, रोड इज नॉट अ प्लेस फॉर एडवेंचर, इफ यू डू वेंचर इनटू द एडवेंचर इनटू द रोड यू वुड वेंचर इनटू द ट्रबल। इस प्रोजेक्ट को सस्टेनेबल ट्रैफिक के नाम से नाम दिया गया है। छत्तीसगढ़ में लगभग 20 से ज्यादा स्कूलों में ये ट्रैफिक रन हो रहा है। इसके लिए लास्ट ईयर जून में हमको पूरे वर्ल्ड में फर्स्ट पोजीशन ग्लोबल विनर घोषित किया कि हमने कार्बन प्रैक्टिकली हमने स्कूल के सामने में रिड्यूस किया. थैंक यू वेरी मच.
Excellent work. Thank you for a very interesting presentation. I think that's actually what you could do on ground and how you can change things. I think that's a real example of making the change on ground. So congratulations to you. Next, there are two more young students who are going to present. Aman? 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 Shreya? Shreya? Come. Aman first and then Shreya. We've had some three great examples of positivity, and I think so the House agrees that we really can take these forward. And congratulations to all three. There are many more like these who want to stand up and speak. They may not get opportunities, and I think the other point which was said earlier on, leadership. Leadership is emerging, it's born, and we have to just take it forward. I think so that should be the motto and spirit. Just bear with us for a minute, he's already on the move.
Good afternoon, I am Aman Agrawal, going to express my views on environment education in schools. What is environment education? It is education about the environment, for the environment and in the environment, which seeks to promote the understanding of the environment and its concerns and to foster informed, engaged and responsible environmental citizenship. It provides connections between the curriculum and the world around us, allowing the students to directly observe impacts and issues and expose the students to the many points of view that must be considered while making choices to preserve the health of the natural environment. Now, see these photos? This is the motto of environment education, from wasting to conserving every drop of water. Now, sorry for saying all this, but this is the current scenario of environment education in schools in India, the real India, rural India. Teachers are not fully passionate and qualified in this subject, at least in my school in rural area. They read out and explain only what is written in textbooks. Students mug up what is written in books to pass exams. Environment education is an optional subject considered an extracurricular. It is seen as a wastage of time, so not much visible in the schedules and curriculum. Limited trips and visits to forests, wetlands, zoo, nature parks. No documentaries and films related to environment are shown. So we have a very limited chance to explore and appreciate the beauty of nature and understand effects of human activities on it and how we are harming the environment. We have nothing to inspire the students for finding solutions to the environmental problems and change their lifestyles. And here are the outcomes. Students have very little knowledge about environment and its concerns. They are not interested in knowing more about the environment. They don't think it's their concern and responsibility. They don't care for the environment while making choices. Most students don't feel the need of action for environmental issues and never appreciate the beauty of nature. So as a result, the students waste valuable resources and live in a non-eco-friendly lifestyle. Now, let us see what we did in Hartford College, Johannesburg. Instead of just classroom learning, we organized trips to mountains, rivers and nature parks. We take the children into Cliff Rivers Nature Reserve once a week. They learn about the flora and fauna of the area. This increases their appreciation for their surroundings, which in turn increases their concern for nature conservation. Instead of telling about different organisms and plants, we show them to the students. We teach them the basics and let them debate the importance of conservation. Instead of giving grades based on just a final exam, credit is given for project work and wholly work is graded. Students study because of curiosity and interest, not for the fear of exams. We organize activities and contests like poster contest, speech contest, etc. We showed the effects of human activities on environment by taking them to a river which was polluted. We also showed photos of carbon caps and melting glaciers. As a result, students understood what is environment and how we are harming it. Let's see the photos. We have an experienced guide who accompanies us into the nature reserve. We do river cleanups and pick up litter. These activities teach students about nature conservation by taking an active role. Last year we planted seeds for Spring Day. The learners tended their plants, watered them, watched them grow. They loved this activity. We show them the beauty of nature. Here are some of the student responses. We also have started a recycling initiative. The learners bring empty plastic bottles for our plastic bin. It's never empty. The children are very motivated and proud to filling our bins. So, environment education would be effective if teachers who would integrate environment education into the formal curricula are properly trained and motivated. A teacher with passion about what she teaches will always do better. Teach the basics and then as a conclusion let students debate the importance of conservation. More aspects of wonder of nature, the beauty of nature should be included. Curriculum should be interesting for the students. Modern visual learning tools can be used to enhance the understanding. Documentaries and films related to environment can be shown. Students should be actively involved in learning and making observations. More emphasis on practical education rather than classroom learning should be. Encourage the students to learn by observing the environment. Project work should be appreciated and credit for it will be even better. Interest and curiosity should be generated in the students so that instead of studying for exams, students want to learn, to explore, to know more and more about the environment, about everything which surrounds them. Here are some of the voices of students. I have also written a poem. Let us learn by ourselves. Let us observe the lives. Instead of giving explanations, let us make observations. Show the beauty of nature. Show the effect of our activities. Motivate us to take initiatives. Develop the affection. Encourage in our green actions. Apart from learning in a classroom, let us learn in the green room. I also have some of my friends to give their views on this topic and here are some of the great feedback I received. Some more activities and project work should be included in the curriculum. Environmental science grades should be given on the basis of whole year's work, not just a final exam. Teachers just focus on what can come in exam and how can we answer the questions. As a result, learning is just for passing exams and the real motive of environment education is lost. The way environment education is taught in our schools is quite boring. It should involve some activities and fun. It should be more interactive, more student friendly. This is how the future would look after environment education. Surely there are some problems in implementing like lack of finance and facilities in schools. Some schools don't have projectors, lack of qualified and passionate teachers, and there may be many more in this list. But this doesn't mean that we continue environment education using these traditional methods. It's the concern of our future, our lives. So we have to act and utilize our resources to our best. We have to remember, there is always a way. We can find cheaper solutions to provide the necessary facilities to schools or some ways to get funds. Implementing these plans is difficult but not impossible. Conclusion. School education plays an important role in our lives. Habits developed there continue throughout our lives. So it's a very good place to educate the kids about the environment and its concerns. Current environmental education in schools is quite exam centered. We need to change it to learning centered and make it more interactive and interesting to increase active student participation. We have problems but also their solutions. So if we generate curiosity in these students and make them study for knowing but not because of exams, we will succeed in making students responsible and good Arthians. Thank you.
Thank you, Amar. I think that was excellent talk that you gave us. I think we have been debating some of these challenges which you actually reinforced and you brought it back from the ground to us. From the morning, these are some of the challenges that we've been discussing about making it more fun, making more tactical approach to the curriculum, getting more passionate teachers, improving the quality. These are some issues that we've been discussing for morning, and you are just reinforcing those thoughts. These are also the concerns that we've made. So thank you very much for bringing that perspective to us. Thank you. And we have the last speaker on this panel is
Shreya.
Shreya.
What is it called?
Good afternoon to one and all present here. I am Shreya Srinivas from Balbharti Public School, Dwarka, and I am in the 10th class. First of all, I would like to thank all of you for giving me this opportunity to give my views on what I think, on how I think environmental education in Indian schools can be made more effective. Environmental education in simple terms is making the students more aware about our environment and develop their attitude so that they collectively work together and make their surroundings a cleaner, greener and healthy place to live in. Even though I normally show my concern towards saving the environment, but I got more seriously involved into environmental initiatives when I visited the Rajiv Gandhi Renewable Energy Park at Gurgaon on Earth Day. There I witnessed a stall on home composting, and that is when I got motivated to do something Paryavaran Mitra is a national initiative, and it has constantly held my hands and guided me. It has been my guide and mentor, and it has encouraged and inspired me to put my views and thoughts into actions. I have been doing this project of home composting since February 2012. What started off at my home has now spread to 8 houses of our neighborhood. Basically, we collect the waste from all the houses and put it into a composter, which you can see, and in a short span of about 2.5 months, we get a nutrient-rich material which is known as compost, which looks something like this. I have been doing this for a pretty long time, and it gives me immense pleasure to think of the achievements that I have achieved in terms of space saving, since it helps to reduce space at the landfills, and also when garbage just rots at the landfill sites, a lot of methane is produced as a result of anaerobic respiration. So by composting our kitchen waste, we ensure that less amount of methane is emitted into the atmosphere, and thus helping to prevent global warming. My next action is to make my school a zero waste institution and totally clean. For this is a composter which can take up to 15 to 20 kgs per day of waste per day, unlike the other one which could take only 1 kg of waste per day. The students of our Eco Club are part of this project, and they ensure that the waste from all the classes in the school is collected and put into this composter, and the facility staff helps to maintain it. And I do hope that the students will be convinced and will take it further within their family, neighbors, etc. Composting is just one aspect of what we can do to save the environment. There are many more aspects, and this is what is my feedback of the current environment education curriculum. Environment education at present, it is just in this year's 10th class NCERT, it is just 2 chapters, and it is just more of everything, it is general knowledge, so it has to be made more interesting. For example, for just instead of telling what negative impact a certain problem will have on the environment, if we could discuss more practical solutions in detail, it would be more helpful. Knowing the impacts is certainly necessary because it will make us more aware, but knowing the practical solutions is more important because then the students will be motivated to do something in that way. I suggest that the eco-friendly schools should be given green certificates to acknowledge or recognize their efforts. Projects like rainwater harvesting, composting, etc. should be made mandatory in schools. Even students should be assessed on the basis of what all activities they are involved in. Point system is very useful because then the students are more motivated, they are encouraged to do environmental activities like even like sapling planting. And apart from this, okay, thank you.
Thank you, Shreya. That was wonderful. We know that you carry these acts of your little acts much wider and much faster. Please give her a big hand. She won a Best Award in Seoul. Very recently she was there. Am I right, Shreya?
Yes. Just a small announcement. We have Additional Secretary MOEF Shri Hem Pandey with us. So, Satishji, what do you suggest? Should we begin the panel and then have tea and push off?
One more student.
Oh, one more student. Okay. Yeah. You have a presentation? Come.
There is one child called Shivangi, student from St. Mark's, who wants to speak. Please come on the dais.
She's volunteered herself. Please, the floor is for you.
A very good evening to all present. I am Shivangi from St. Mark's School, Meerabad, and I am here to speak about the challenges that we come across while carrying out activities for the environment. Environment education is one arena which is getting up attention these days. It has become a necessity to sensitize children about the environment, keeping in mind the environment concerns on the rise each day. The main challenge being faced by the people who are working or wish to take up this field in future is not being taken seriously. The older generations form a big part of the population, but this part is ignorant, not aware that environment is degrading day by day. The taunts of "Aal Gayi Kabadi" are being heard by almost every student who tries to collect and manage the waste. We have so many ways with us to care about the environment, but why not we implement those? We need to rise above the status concerns and the comfort level. We need to differentiate between our needs and wants. Only making a book about environment concerns is not of some help. And the book also focuses upon the basic facts and the biodegradable, the non-biodegradable waste, 3 R's and all those. In higher classes, there is no inclusion of the subject in the syllabus. Also, we have to the students need to be made aware of the perils they could face in future if not environment friendly. Children which are working for the environment should be taken seriously and recognition should be awarded for their work. No incentive equals to no interest. Also, in a marks-oriented society, there is so much burden of the studies. No one has the time to carry the activities on an individual scale. If taken up, they do not get the support of the people. And if done, the effect and the result of the activity is not seen by all. Practical knowledge is really missing out. Also, the individuals are not influenced by what the governments do for the environment. For example, we see bans on plastic bags. But have you ever seen that a plastic bag is not used when you go to buy vegetables? The answer must be no. So there's time for some real work. We need to change the attitude of kya farak padta hai. The should do must change into we do attitude. Thank you.
Number of speakers that we had in this, if there are questions, we can quickly have them. Very quickly. Rohit.
Actually, I don't have a direct question, but I have something to Gita ma'am. There have been discussions about motivating students and certificates going waste. So what we actually did was we have been working in sustainability in schools for the past 3 years now, and we got our key programs that we do in schools incubated at IIM Ahmedabad, and all the students undergoing the program now get a certificate in climate change from Indian Institute of Management Ahmedabad. Suddenly this entire certification thing problem might get solved, because what we have seen last 1 year, ever since IIM Ahmedabad is coming, a lot more students signing up for the program, and certificates are also being recognized by universities and other colleges. So you might consider entering into such partnerships which might help you.
I'm open for everything. ASUP is open for everything. I want us to reach Delhi University.
Yeah,
My point is that. Ultimately, it is that. I mean, May and June, you find the media talking only about admission. And if these children don't get through, I mean, you talk about SRCC, they won't, they didn't.
The good thing now is that Ahmedabad
that's
certificate is holding value.
It should. That is definitely, and we are open for it, and we would definitely collaborate.
Thanks a lot. Anybody else? Any other question? On the presentation?
I have something to say on this.
One of my students, he got free admission, free full scholarship in Cornell University for the work on environment that he had done and the essay that he wrote. And there are many more. It's the environment work that the children are doing is getting them across. We need to change. India needs to change.
Yes, India needs to
India
change. This is what
India needs to change. It's been recognized all over. Please do something. We have been harping about it. And the parents, it was taken out from ICSC. The environment education was taken out because the parents and the kids said, we don't want to study another subject. What help does it, what does it do for us? So it's not as a subject, it's a mindset when the world recognizes what's happened to us.
to us. That's what. Exactly.
As far as volunteerism goes, and I can talk only through my own experiences, I personally feel it's more about recognition from the world, and these are tangible benefits that you can see getting admission into a college or not. But what it does to a person, I mean, I think that is terrifically more important than, at least personally I feel, what it did to me as a person has been fantastic, because I've got to meet people, and in a world where I felt that I was very isolated, I got to meet people whose voices were with mine, and the kind of boost it gave to my confidence. And I mean, it does something to you as a person. And that kind of strength and confidence, I think, goes a huge way in whatever college or whatever, anywhere, whatever you're doing in life.
That's why we are here. You're passionate and you are absolutely right. Leave all that. This doesn't die. This doesn't get over. In fact, that still there are those parents who question us. What answer do we have? That's what I raised. Otherwise, I'm also saying this takes you a long way. I mean, forget about the admission and all. As an educator, I would still advocate work, and they are different people. These children are completely different. The ones who spoke were wonderful.
Exactly. I wouldn't really worry about my children. If they were my children, what if they wouldn't get admission or what? I wouldn't worry about it. They are beautiful human beings.
They are. I totally agree with you. Thank you very much. I think that's a very nice comment. They are beautiful human beings, but I think that also needs to happen sooner or later. And that's my point of view. That's one thing about you being passionate about it, you're getting benefits, you're being connected, you're changing your own self. But I think the other kind of benefits also need to follow. Perhaps that will make it much better than the way we are. So that's the point of view. Thank you very much. I think we will close the question and answer now, and we'll move on to the last part of the session. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have Mr. Hale Pandey, Additional Secretary, MOEF here. Welcome, sir. We welcome you. And we have Ms. Ranjana Sakhya, Director, EYSTD, Terry. We welcome you, ma'am. And we welcome Mr. Sadish Sinha also to the dais, along with Mr. Sodhi. Sir, if you could please join us. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, I would like to welcome the panelists. We have Shri Hale Pandey, Additional Secretary, Government of India, Minister of Environment and Forest. Thank you, sir, for making it possible to be here with us today. Indeed, a pleasure for us. Mrs. Veena, we have Ms. Ranjana Sakhya from TERI, Director EYSDE, and on my right we have Prabhajot from CEE, Center for Environmental Education. Thank you all for being with us. I think we've had a long day of discussions on this issue about environmental education. We had an interactive session, question and answers. And some of the issues that we really captured and perhaps in the day was, and we got different perspectives when the children started speaking. That was very, very interesting. That happened and at the final end of the day. But what we eventually, I think some of the points that really came up was that this happened post 1991 after Supreme Court directive on subsequent to filing of a PIL, and how the history of environmental education, how it was incorporated into curriculum or it was brought into the curriculum. The strategy of infusion, that was very importantly brought out as to what is this infusion mean and how effective this infusion has been. There was some amount of talk about that also. I think many of you in the room have know about or understand infusion much better now, and it's difficult to perhaps say as to how effective or ineffective infusion has been. But that is the strategy that we've been following about infusion of environmental education in various subjects that we have, so that we take it forward in all of them. We also had something about the system of infusion and what is a feedback mechanism. Does it have a feedback mechanism? How often is it reviewed? How does it evolve with the current shifts in development process? Does it actually move forward with the same speed? Does it keep pace with the kinds of challenges that we have in the environment, or does it not keep? So that was another issue that was flagged off during this meeting. We also had an issue about the quality of educators that we have in the country, which is a huge bulk of numbers were given out in the morning. What is this number of educators that we have? And what is the mix? It is urban, rural, different kind of educators that you have, and how do we deal with this subject of environment and with these various diverse kind of educators that we have? How can we improve the quality of these educators? So there was another point that was discussed and brought out in this meeting. Another point that I remember or now that came out, and I find that is very interesting, is that urban-rural kind of a differentiation that we have in environmental education and settings. It was very easy to see that in urban metros and larger cities, you have a different kind of understanding, or you have different kind of delivery mechanism of environmental learnings and environmental education. Where I was just listening to this young student, Aman, and he gave us a perspective of how it is so very different in rural background, rural setting, where you don't have, and I think Prabhajot also brought out that you have one teacher from 1 to 6 and you have one classroom. Now what do you expect? What are the challenges that is placed in front of this teacher to make environmental education a fun, practical, innovative learning? All that is so very challenging for the teacher to do. So I think that was another issue that was brought out by somebody. And I think the last thing that I would like to perhaps say, and many people brought up, does this environmental education or this classroom or textbook kind of a thing, does it really make you connect to them? Does it actually do that? Does it actually achieve its objective and its results? So that is something also was discussed. Nothing very tangible came up as to does it really change or does it make, but it did suggest that it makes a small dent somewhere. I think these were something that I thought I would start and perhaps put these questions out in front so that we have a meaningful discussion, and then after that we can take a few question and answer from the audience. So can I go from right to left or from left to right? What would be easier? So can I start from left to right and invite you to make your initial opening comments on it?
Yes, environment education as we see it today. It began actually much before it was environment education. It was nature study, which moved into environment education. When we were in school, I grew up in a small hill station in the northeast called Shillong. We used to have a subject called nature study, and all our classes were held outside, never indoors, and often we were taken to the botanical garden. So it began actually at that stage. But as the environment started getting more and more polluted, damaged, we started looking at environment as a subject. And environment education in India, I think, has progressed because we work across the country with schools in all the states almost. I think Mr. Sidhu would share this with you also. And we have seen that the understanding of what is happening to the environment has increased a lot. And environment studies has had an impact on the children. They have become more sensitive to nature, to the environment around them. Now when you become sensitive to the environment, you also start building some values and ethics, which are also very, very important. We now talk about value education, but your love of nature, your love of your surroundings, your love of the land around you is actually building your values. And what I liked about some of the presentations by the children is they came out with what was positive, what could be done, and what is being done, and where we have made a difference. Madhu also talked about it, so did Geeta, and we know we've been in discussion and on and off, and we work in projects together, and we know that it is making an impact. And now with CBSE introducing the CCE, I think environment education can go forward, because CCE is all about project, working on projects, making your understanding better with more action related, putting your hands on to understand things. And here, Mr. Sinha just talked about inclusive education. We now can look at interdisciplinary. You know what happens in a baccalaureate course and others, where they, different disciplines, science, social science, and geography, and civics, and English, everybody work on one mega project. They understand the science of the environment, they understand the social implications, they understand the geography of it, they write a poem on it and understand the literature of it, and so, and the maths of it, if you're going to look at statistics and numbers and your evaluations and other things, assessments. So therefore this CCE is actually going to be a boost for environment education because of the character of it, because of the large number of projects that each teacher has to do. But if you do the projects together with others, your burden plus the burden on the child and the understanding of the children increases many folds, because they are understanding each component of it, not just standalone. Now, I just wanted to I know it's a big challenge, EE, but environment education is about nature, about the environment. Now, after the UNESCO has declared the Decade for Sustainable Education for Sustainable Development, we've now started to also look at the sustainable development factor, which also brings in social, cultural, traditions and the economic. And here, you have ESD, what they call ESD, Education for Sustainable Development, which is looking at human relationship with nature. Not, it is environmental education is about nature, but here you're looking at the relationships, the interconnections. It's a little complex, but how environment also impacts the social, the economic and other things, and how we as human beings have been at the root of this impact. So this is what I thought, since it's an open discussion, we'd rather have questions coming in. I feel sustainable development issues need to be brought in, integrated in, and looked in a more holistic manner. If we go back in years, Gandhiji's basic education was all about this. Looking at the resources around you, developing skills from the resources that are existing near and around you, and living in a very sustainable manner. And we've come a long way beyond Gandhiji. We've forgotten that basic education is education for sustainable development. What is the buzzword today is what Gandhiji thought of 60, 78 years back, when I'm sure he thought of it years back. So there is this great man who we somewhere down the line have forgotten that he actually brought all this up. And I think we need to go back to that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Satish, good evening, and respected Chair. You've been all hearing me since morning. What I'll do is I'll just take 2 minutes from the panel and just flag out certain issues. And knowing you give space to everybody, and I think so more so to the small, young, budding minds, those who are here. And please take my word for sure, walk into Mr. Pandey's room, he is the person who will make changes. He steers our community programs. But anyway, I just captured to Ranjana's point. We need environment education, we need to move from small to big. We need to move from club to school. We need to take it as an integrated approach. It has to be all the time pressing us and challenging us, where am I going wrong and what am I doing right. And that sort of a challenge is something which will lead to build trust, the points which you have all said, trust between the various stakeholders, may it be the principal, the teacher, or the student. Why only a student has to trust the other? The other has to trust the student also in order to really take the leadership and deliver. And I think so we heard some 5 or 7 case studies of the students, and I'm sure there are many more, the positive actions they have done. So I think so that it's all about trust. And respect is another mutual word which I would like to flag it here. And that respect is from all age groups, from the lowest to the highest. And I think so with that trust and respect, if we go and take environment as a holistic approach on sustainable development, which has been said by Satish and many others who have spoken, I think so we are on a way forward. And there have been a lot of talks about the programs. I need not say anything about them. But I'll just come back to the point, one more point last, the issue which Geeta flagged, I think from St. Mark's, that what am I doing? What am I doing? I'm taking care of the environment. I'm leading it to the policy. I'm leading it to the action in the media, recognized, and with loads of certificates, still does not get me precedence. That's your question, which is a very, very forthright question, and we hold respect to that. But mind you, that's not the end in itself. As I said it earlier, it's not an end in itself. I'm sure these are the right people who will make the right choices at the right places, and they will deliver this what Gandhiji once dreamt, Swaraj. And I think so, I close here, and feel free to question to the panel and to Mr. Pandey. Thank you.
Can I request you?
Thank you, Satish, Prabhjot, and President, I don't know how much time we have, because I see, you are here since morning, and if you have little time, I will say very few words. I am representing Ministry of Environment and Forest here, and it gives me in particular and the entire ministry, a great satisfaction that, somebody whole day is discussing a subject called environment. So that itself is very fulfilling, and I know all of you, the kind of talks, subject, the kind of points I'll make, all of you are passionate about those, all of you want to do a lot more than what is happening, so those words will not count, but still I'll take just few minutes and then leave the floor open if you have, I could trigger some controversy or some questions if you can, put to us, because the ministry that I represent here, we are at the crossroads today. We are the whipping boys of this country. I don't think any positives you read about us in the newspapers. It's always negatives, and so if I can clarify some of those clouds today, I'll feel very good, because I have very I have a problem with the word environment itself, because it's a human centric. It's one species. Those of you who are studying biology, Homo sapiens centric. I mean, it's centered around humans. So we are thinking we are one species, and another 1.5 million species on this earth are different. So I have a basic problem with that. Somebody was talking about the better term, and the better term to my mind is ecology. The ecology means the study of the house. And many of us, I think we all go and opt for economics, this management of the house. But if we don't know about the house, how will we manage? I mean, did we ever ask this question to ourselves? Never. Another problem I have about this word environment, education. Because the education is, whatever was being told, it's the problem of education in this country. The bane of education is it's not reached everyone. And when I was collector, I mean, this is about 18 years back in a district called Midnapur in West Bengal. I'll tell you, I mean, and that's why I come out of the office. Now, of course, when you become senior in the service, I belong to Indian Administrative Service, so I'm not an environmentalist. I have studied biology. I'm a postgraduate in botany, and I'm from mountains. So, mind you, I mean, I have lived half of my life has been in mountains. So I have born with nature. My first 22 years have been at 6,000 feet and above, 2,000 meters above the sea level. So, about nature I can talk for days together, I'm so passionate about nature, and all of you here, because that's how you are here today. Environment education, now I'll take you back to Midnapur. Because literacy is a bane in this country. I mean, and what kind of literacy, that also has to be seen. The kind of literacy that, I drive a Mercedes car and I throw the Pepsi packet outside of the road, is that the literacy we are talking about? So what kind of? I remember, that time we used to have literacy programs, and children like this, school children, teachers like this, and the kind of ladies, Shreya or some who came here. One of the girl asked that time, what is literacy? So she asked, because many of us who claim to be scientists or erudite or educated people, we wear so many rings and this, that, there are so many beads to ward this off, ward that off, superstitions. So she was saying, who is literate? A scientist who is wearing 5 garlands of different kind of stones, or one who doesn't have anything. So, literacy. So, what kind of literacy and all that? Now, in education per se, what I'm saying is, so we used to go to village, so, one was just talking whether this child goes to school, that child goes to school. So, the answer was, no, it doesn't go to school. I said, why? To a parent, I asked, why doesn't the child go to school? So he said, without blinking his eye, he tells me that, look, it's very far. Very far. I said, how far? He said, 3 kilometers. I said, that means going 3 kilometers, coming back 3 kilometers, 6 kilometers? He said, yes. I said, now tell me, the entire day, your child, he climbs that tree, this tree, runs around the whole village. How many kilometers he or she goes? She could catch, but she said, must be more than 6 kilometers. I said, then send him to school and let him come back. Just going to school and coming back itself will teach you what it is, Then if the teachers are, can make them sit there and do something, that's added bonus. But even getting up in the morning, going to school, and if you have uniform, nothing like it, and going in a queue and coming back, it makes hell of a different thing, And that time we had organized a program called Intensive Sanitation Program in that district. In fact, many of us defecate in the open. We should feel ashamed of ourselves. We want to become developed country, but we don't know how to stand in a queue. We still defecate in the open, in the Lodi garden. The people like us, forget about villages and all. So these are the things, unless we inculcate those, this is all environment. Because we are talking about environment education. It should not be taught in the classrooms, let me tell you frankly. It's all about what is happening around us. It's about civic senses. It's about honestly living in the society, respecting each other, respecting. There's a lot of noise these days about women and all that. A couple of unfortunate incidents. And I look after animal welfare also in this country. That's another area. I get from RWAs two kind of stories: one who are feeding the dogs, one who are not feeding the dogs. And it's a hell of a thing. I must tell you, half of my time goes to address those issues. That is also environment. The stray dogs. Unfortunately, we have. It's like thumb rule. As per thumb rule, we have. Generally, nowhere in the world you will find so many stray dogs. And there's a thumb rule, as per thumb rule, even if it's 2%, generally the thumb rule is 2% of the, 2% dogs will be there of the total population. So we have, how many? We have 1.2 billion, so 2% of that makes, good number of stray dogs on the streets. Forget about that. Then we have 500 million cattle of this world. I represent the government of India, so I'll talk about India in general, not about the specific village or something. 500 million animals, cattle, who are just roaming around. It doesn't happen anywhere in the world. And 1.2 billion human beings. Okay? And now in an area of 2.5%. Just see, 2.5% of the world's area. So you can well imagine, that's where the Khurja student was telling, you can't see anything because we hardly have areas. We have around 5 to 10% areas yet. That's gives us a very proud movement, and all of you. That's where because you are into it. And you like it because of people like you, we still have 8 to 10% of the world's area, which houses. Which has good natural forests. Unlike West, unlike Europe, where everything was removed once upon a time and monoculture or few species. Nature means nature. Nature should be left to itself as it is. But the carrying capacity of the earth is we are misusing it. Already I think we need 2 planets. Yeah. If the calculator and all that, if you take it into account. And somebody was talking about the waste and all. There is no waste in nature. Nature has a very amazing system. You see those who are talking about, once you start talking about food chains, food webs, ecosystem, then you realize it's very easy. And there's no waste in nature. All of us have a role, excepting Homo sapiens, of course. We have, let me tell you, we have destroyed this. And this time and, education alone would not help us. I think it has to be into our habit. And we don't need a ministry called Environment and Forest if it is going to be only whipping boy. We can trigger, we make regulations, rules, but somebody has to somebody has to, follow. So we must learn how to stand in queue. We must learn to use the waste bins. There are some bins, and again we have too many. We thought we have solved our problem by getting metro, but it's too packed. Again, the same person who had car, he or she is coming by car because one can't ride metro, is packed. So that point of time we might have thought 2 or 3 levels of metro, and same is the case with all our infrastructure, be it for, just see. So, and that is going to take us a hell of a time to reach there. But, there are technologies today, and we need, and these children will only innovate. We need innovations, and we need, all entire education talks about renewable energy. I mean, that is the solution for this country. Particularly India, we have around 200 days of sunshine. But now, if you give us the American or China kind of solar panels, huge, big ones, it's not going to help us because we don't have land. We don't have land. Unlike China has more population than us, but their area is 3 times than this country. Brazil, who are developing, and Brazil has almost 3 times the area that we have, and population you can well imagine, hardly any population. Australia, these countries, USA, 5% of world's area, they consume 25% of the world's resources. That way we don't consume anything. But now everything is coming here. It's becoming a huge market. Basically, the Pepsi, those packets and all that. They are going to the kettle. They are eating it. They are going to the drains. It's making hell. So that awareness, you see Lodi Garden or any garden on Sunday evening, it's packed with. It's amazing. So I think environment education will not be in the classrooms. I think each school, while you go towards the school, you must have slogans, 8 or 10 slogans. Schools I'm talking about, college students, don't go in uniform and all. But, something has to be done somewhere. Government alone cannot do it. And this takes me back, I think all of us are born after 47. So here, those who are born, but that point of time, we used to take support of the public. For what? To get us independence from a foreign ruler. Participate. You come and I'll get you. We talked about the Gandhi and all. Again today, the participatory, attitude is needed for these kind of things, for education, for environment. I will say, I call it ecology. For ecology, you need people have to participate. It's not going to be Prabjot's job or Hen Pandey's from MOE. Our job is to set some standards, which even our standards are one of the best. You can compare. But what is the implementation? So implementation, has to come from within. And I think that day would be where we would be proudly it's an amazing country, I must tell you, unique. And we have to have unique solutions. And the innovation on solar has to come from this country. Of course, we will go to US and do it there, but then again it goes to the private route, We want something happening in public, and our IIT graduates, IIM graduates, I think 100, 200 of them, if they are given a platform, total freedom to innovate, India is tight. The Indian solution, the world solution will not apply to India. I must tell you, huge solar panels are not going to help us. And that is where this mobile phones, each of these days is very fast, we wonder and wait. And how? See, in 1998, we had only 2% telephony, 2%. That is, that to the cable one, if his phone goes out, so my phone will be okay, and my wife, you had to literally. And fortunately, we took wireless, and today 80% of this country we are proud possessors of telephone. It has revolutionized our life. Something of this sort has to be done for energy. And once you get people energy, I think the service sector will grow automatically. Because initially, if I remember, Delhi, people were thinking that metro, no, people will, spit palm there, they will destroy it and all. Nothing of that sort happened. I think 1 or 2 people attempted, but so give good infrastructure to people will definitely respect it, and but where from it will come? It has to come from participation now, public-private partnership, you call it. So there are many 3 Ps. You know, we started in 72 with pollution, poverty and populism. You know, 72, India was the first, our prime. From there to public-private partnership. You know, but unfortunately in this sector, public-private partnership will take time because, you know, it's private sector will only come where it's profit. And immediately no environmental project, no green project is going to give you, you know, any profit. So, but that, once we understand that, you know, time line, it will be easier. So I think the young entrepreneurs here who are there, we should not be jugadus, we should be innovators. You know, we have too much of jugad we do in this country. And that has led us to, you know, we have solution for everything. A good thing will have a counter. But let's have a, you know, I mean, I will challenge the environment education in this country would succeed the day I see a small solar panel which I can carry on my hand, and, you know, people are doing, there are many companies who are doing it. You know, that will be costlier to us, but we are trying. We have already, by a process of bidding, we have brought down the price to almost 8 rupees per unit, the solar, you know, solar. But, you know, it has to match the fossil fuel one. So we call it energy from heaven and hell. You know, if you still depend on energy from hell, that is all this petroleum, you know, natural resource getting dead and then. So that is going to be a problem, and unfortunately, you know, even there we have a problem. The coal, our quality of the coal is bad. So we have mercury problem, we have, you know, other emission problems. So solar is a big solution for the kind of energy needs this country and the kind of population we have, then only we can, you know. So as I think the school, the curriculum is good. We have forgotten our pure subjects. Nobody reads pure subjects these days. You know, let's go back to the school, and college should make our base, and then there are many extracurricular things. You know, we have forgotten pure science. We don't study pure science now, you know. And you are lucky. I mean, the ecosystem word, when I used to be in college, we heard in college. I heard in postgraduate college, that time it came. Now I see the NCERT books, you know, they give you the food chain, food web and all, you know, and you see daily, grass, grasshopper, you know, frog, not many of course, you know, because I come from hills. With the concrete jungles you don't see these, you either see in Animal Planet and all that, and I must tell you, we don't go out these days, you know. How many of you have flown kites? How many of you, we don't go out at all. And you know, I go back to my school days, I mean, come morning and we'll out, and till late evening we'll not be around, you know, so we'll not be around, and that was great fun. And today we have to push our children out, to go out, get us some fresh air, you know. So be with nature, and I think it will be very easy. I will stop here. I have already taken more than your time, and if you have something, please feel free about the ministry, about what we do, or you know, the solution is with the people in general, children in particular. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. If there are any questions, okay, one hand, how many, anybody else? Okay, there, two. Can you pass the mic? Three. Okay, so we'll take you first, second and third. Can you pass the mic, please?
Mic is behind you, mic is behind you.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Come on.
Yeah,
you're loud enough, come on.
Speak. Yeah.
Check. Sir, my question is to Sir Hem Pandey. As Sir said, it's totally depend upon us, and Sir also told that we are not having that power, the Ministry of Environment and that sort. So why don't you empower us? That means if we see in a country, we will hardly find any organization which is based, government based, and which is running for the protection of environment. This is all the all the works of NGOs and all they are doing. And we know what's the problem with NGOs. They don't have the funds and all those things, and they have to suppress their ideas or their revolutions for betterment of environment. So why don't we set up, or government empowers more this ministry and set up different committees in the states or different states of India, and thus bring this issue to our enlightenment. That's the major thing.
Okay, that's one. Can we have the second one? Okay.
Related?
Take three things. Let's take.
My question is just an issue. Sir, education में आपने environmental education को curriculum में ले तो आए, but even ये सिर्फ अभी schools में ही है, colleges में ये कहीं नहीं है. Even मैं Department of Environmental Studies का student हूँ, दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी से, but वहाँ भी सिर्फ ये curriculum में है. सिर्फ हमें बुकिश नॉलेज दी जाती है, फील्ड ट्रिप है, बट उसे भी कोई ले जाने को तैयार नहीं होता है. तो क्लास में बैठ के हम क्या एनवायरमेंटल स्टडीज पढ़ेंगे? ये तो हम डिस्टेंस मोड में किसी भी यूनिवर्सिटी से पढ़ सकते हैं.
ठीक, थैंक यू.
पहले सबसे मेरा सवाल है कि जैसे आज दिन भर में काफ़ी चीज़ें डिस्कस हुई, जैसे CC के बारे में बात हुई, नेशनल कमीशन ऑफ एजुकेशन 86 उसके बारे में, एनसीएफ के बारे में, यूनेस्को में जो इनिशिएटिव लिया जा रहा है उसके बारे में, बीच में एक कराया था 72 के जो स्टॉकहोम कन्वेंशन था उसका, उसके बाद में ब्रुकलिन कमीशन का 2002 सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट का जो समिट था उसके बारे में, कॉन्फ्रेंस ऑफ पार्टीज के बारे में. तो सर काफ़ी सारा काम हो रहा है, लेकिन जितने इनपुट दिए जा रहे हैं उतना आउटपुट बाहर नहीं आ रहा है. इसके पीछे क्या रीजन नजर आ रहा है? और सर एक BEd में हम लोग पढ़ते हैं पॉल ऑफ वेरी को, तो सर जैसे कि कल्चर ऑफ साइंस और कल्चर ऑफ फीयर, हमारे डिपार्टमेंट में भी डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ एनवायरमेंटल स्टडीज का स्टूडेंट हूँ. तो सर जैसे इंटरडिसिप्लिनरी की बात करते हैं तो हमारे डिपार्टमेंट में इवन फॉलो MSc and MA, you are student of MA, so you have no right to discuss about the scientific aspects. और जैसे हम लोग प्रैक्टिकल्स करते हैं तो प्रैक्टिकल्स में सर मर्क्यूरी है, कैडमियम है, टॉक्सिक मेटल्स हैं, और काफ़ी सारे जो IARC है, इंटरनेशनल एसोसिएशन फॉर रिसर्च ऑन कैंसर फ्रांस, तो उन्होंने उसको कार्सिनोजेनिक डिफाइन कर रखा है. हम सारे एक्सपेरिमेंट करते हैं और सीधा एक्सपेरिमेंट के बाद जो भी टॉक्सिक और हजार्ड वेस्ट बनता है सीधा सिर्फ में डाल देते हैं. तो सर वहाँ पर कोई वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट सिस्टम नहीं है और हम वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट के 1.5 साल से कर रहे हैं. सर कहीं भी पढ़ने में और इम्प्लीमेंट करने के विषय काफ़ी सारे गैप नजर आ रहा है एक चीज़ के लिए. और इसे दिन भर में जो चर्चा हुई कि एनवायरमेंटल एजुकेशन इन स्कूल, एक एंथ्रोपोलॉजी में या सोशियोलॉजी में टर्म आती है सोशलाइजेशन. तो सेकेंडरी सोशलाइजेशन की ओर फोकस हो रहा है सर, और जो प्राइमरी सोशलाइजेशन होता है जो घर में होता है एजेंट ऑफ चेंज, तो वहाँ सर कहीं ना कमी नजर आ रही है. क्योंकि स्कूल है वो, जैसे कि आपने कहा कि हर चीज़ सिखाई नहीं जाती है. अब प्लास्टिक की कोई चीज़ है, प्लास्टिक वेस्ट है, कुछ खाते हैं हम बाहर फेंक देते हैं, तो स्कूल हमें ये हर चीज़ छोटी से छोटी चीज़ नहीं सिखा पाता है. तो पेरेंट्स को भी इसमें इन्वॉल्वमेंट नहीं किया जाना चाहिए, वो कहीं एक कमी नजर आ रही है.
Okay, thank you. So, any panelists that would like to answer? So, the first one. Yeah.
It will become monologue then.
We will ask.
Very interesting questions. In fact, this is the problem of our ministry today. I mean, we have to balance two good things in this country. One is the environment, and another is development. It's not either or. It's balancing the two. The gentleman there was talking about waste. See, we haven't yet generated the kind of waste, the Brundtland Commission you said, sustainable development you said, and still the world, I mean I'm talking about the world, and it is true in a village also, even in India's village also, 20% people consuming at 80% of the world's resources, and we talk about these words. So the gap is there, gap is tremendous. 20% people consuming 80% of world's resources. So you can well imagine. There are countries who have captured nature. There are countries where people after sunset they are in the darkness. This is a unique world. I mean, so at the world level, and things will keep on happening like this. Opportunities are everywhere there. Now, first going to why government alone cannot do everything. You know, earlier also, colleges, schools, the name used to be in some gentleman or lady's name, you know. Somebody used to give that capital and, you know, that is good. I have also come from those colleges, DSB, so somebody's name is there or that, you know. And then government used to give, government can supplement that by giving, you know, salary to teachers, right? Even that is a huge bill. Now what happens after that? Some teachers go to school, teach very sincerely. The students also go to school, study sincerely, but there are gaps. Similarly, you know, you will find the school building intact. You know, again going back to my, you know, that example of my district, because that is where I interacted with people. A school building and health center in a village is dilapidated, you know, the walls are breaking, window panes are falling. Nearby a mosque or a temple, bright, clean, everything. So I asked people, I said, why is this difference? They said, look, there we go, this is a, you know, puja time, we go every day and we have contributed money and we do it. I said, then why don't you do this school building and health center? No, this is government job. Government will do it. It's government job. Anyway, that day I was very successful. Whole day I chatted with them. And then the evening they came, they said, look, this canal, irrigation canal is all full of silt and all. Irrigation people are not coming, they are not cleaning. I said, let's do, we have chatted a whole day, let's do one thing. Let's clean it ourselves. You know? And lo and behold, next day I got a phone call in my district headquarters. The villagers all by put their own work, they cleaned it. You know, there was a whole canal and they discovered the buildings also, and you know, there was water, the children started going to school. But how many places government can go in this country? Tell me. Then how many places NGOs will go? Non-government organizations, you said that they don't have money. See, NGOs, my theory is at least 5 years you should work on your own. And then, you know, come to, you know, because that's, you are doing something, you know, because you want to do it, passionate. And that's what, if that district at least I had issued a circular. Otherwise, a government scheme will come and you will see suddenly NGOs popping up. Because that says it will be routed through NGOs, you know. So I said, look, 5 years, those who have worked in the field for 5 years, they only will be eligible for this kind of thing. You know, number came down. So these kind of things where the size is too much, I mean, you know, and it's very difficult. So we can only make regulations. We can do some hand-holding, you know, in the childhood, you know, you hand-hold or, you know, baby steps. But government can't be everywhere. If government has to do everything, then government needs huge resource. And if you factor in the environment, because if you have to have environment friendly thing everywhere, it will add to all the costs by 20 to 30%. It will depend what you are doing. So we already have, in our country has estimated, I think $1 trillion we need for, you know, infrastructure. We have to see that the elephants also are not killed by trains when they pass through. So I would like to have a huge, you know, flyover so that elephant can also pass, and a strong flyover, and you know, one can go also. I mean, this we can dream at least, but for that we need either technology which will give us less money, better work, or we need money. So where from this is going to come? So we have to set our priorities. The urban-rural divide is there. People are moving from rural areas to urban centers, and I'm coming for a worse environment. Environment I used, it's a human-centric, you know. We forgot another species. So once you think on those lines, I think all of us have to put in our efforts to minimize the cost. You know, at least I can do one thing, that I can throw my polythene bag or whatever it is in a dustbin if it is nearby. Right? And these things, small baby steps with school, colleges, and as a human, as a citizen of this country, I think we can do, and that's where again it takes back to Mahatma Gandhi's day, need, greed, and there's so many things, the village, you know, all that. So, you know.
One example may I give?
Please.
So when you give an example of Lodi Garden, that on Sunday evenings there are lots of crashes, all those throw there here and there. So I was talking basically what empowerment I was talking was why don't the government appoints small divisions so that just like if there is a security personnel there, he would tell everyone that this is not the place to throw in the dustbin.
There are security people. See how many can this is very interesting. We are going to anyway, we are digressing, but there's a definition of security and all. I think that every citizen is a policeman without uniform. And see, it's a kind. You have these are the things which are from my habit. I have a habit of throwing. I have a habit of. This is something where I think this has to go off from our minds. Our minds and we have nature and nurture. Somebody talked about parents. See, 50% is what we inherit from our genes. If I am fighting, I'll fight. But nurture, what is around me also makes a human being. A human being around me has to be very. It's somebody else's job. That's the worst thing we have. And these kind of issues, the population, pollution, environment, all these kind where it has to be participatory. We can have huge debate on this, but ultimately the participatory methods will win. And then GO, NGO, CBO, GO government, NGO non-government, CBO community-based, you can say school-based, school, STO, PTA, whatever it is. Everybody has to first agree, should we keep our Delhi clean? And I think we've been able to succeed to a larger extent because everybody is doing it. Still, we have some black sheep, but that's right. Similarly, why can't it spread all across? All across, and I think you'll find very soon that we need much less money. And a very tactical good vehicle will come and remove the garbage if we put in a particular place. But that's what the developed and developing difference is. But because to catch, in fact, again the statistics are not that important. But I have read somewhere that the way the world is doing we keep on talking about poverty and all. If the way we are working, the whole world, it will take 800 years to reach the last 10%. 800 years, business as usual. So we have to do something. 800 years, one doesn't know. We have already destroyed, five times there was change on Earth's atmosphere because of nature. 6th time, I think we have done it already. We are fearing that 2 degree, 3 degree, 4 degree, this, that. We have already done it, the 6th time. Dinosaurs, how they went away, we don't know. But that was a natural episode. Nature has its own resilience. Nature has its own system. We can learn umpteen things from nature. Termite mound, you have seen? Termite mound has a temperature of 23, 24 degrees centigrade in a tropic zone. Let's have houses like this, and we have houses like this. You go to Betul in Madhya Pradesh, village there, you will see the houses there. Nicely, even in that 40 degrees centigrade inside the house, it's very good. Very good. No, but I must have 4 air conditioners. Then we have, so it's a lifestyle. Or somebody said it's all livelihood. That's where the poverty and for us it's all livelihood. Our greed, our things like that. So we have to. And this is the time we have to decide on what is right for us and what is wrong for us. This I can say from a level where we are deciding policies for the country, right? And we are trying to take everybody along. We are trying to take everybody along on that. But we are finding problem on these issues where people have to see. I gave you those small examples of when I was in district that this government will do. And this, sometimes it happens, there are many, but why can't we help a person who is lying injured on the road? Just pick up. Let's see. I don't think for fear of that we'll have to, one has to make those basic differences now. Why should people defecate in open? Tell me, in a city like Delhi, forget about villages. I mean, why in villages also? That's why this has to be inculcated from the birth, helmet. Now police will make one wear helmet, seat belt, moving in buses without ticket. And feeling very proud. Today I did not pay the, this kind of habit has to go sometime. Don't you, I feel very good. Today from behind I sneaked, but then we are doing, okay, but tomorrow you think, you look back, reflect on that. Did you do, it was not good, because the buses has to run, the petrol has to be bought, all our public transports run at loss. Because, either subsidized or those of us who ride, a student concession, this concession, that concession, or we don't pay, and things like that. And this has not changed in 50, 60 years, I must tell you. So this is where, now if the government has to do, then every citizen, behind every citizen, there has to be a policeman. For everything. So it will be, then, it will be another problem. So, the best is to, and you are champions. Be champions in your, house, be champion in your locality, be champion in your school, be champion in your village. And that each village in India also 20-80% is there also. 20% people in a village consuming 80% of the resources. In fact, I also look like that now because of my bad body weight. But it's 20-80. So, but it's like this. But we have to cut corners somewhere. Let's make 30-70, 40-60. If I can do on every aspect, you think you will see this. So let's try to bring that equity part of it, and that's what India is trying to, inclusive, equity, all this is, let all of us and the animals, plants, so far no nature only has been able to convert solar energy into food energy. Photosynthesis has not happened in the laboratories, and that's a huge thing nature has given us. We are all dependent on nature, we must protect nature. Nature has its own resilience. It comes back, it improves. But, there's a limit. So I think we should not cross that. I don't know whether I answered directly all your questions, because obviously finding a government person, you'll always say government has to do everything, which is not possible, which is just not possible. Let's be rational, I will also retire in 5 years. If I also say that, then I'll also be wrong. And I never used to think, because as a citizen, I also have something to do in this. I am not alone, let's be together. And I think all of us being together, it will be very easy. Our participatory bodies, panchayats and all, we thought those will be, the theory is those should have been apolitical. But lo and behold, even a student union elections are fought on the party lines. And what happens? One wins, one loses, what happens? Let's be very frank. Because we know that this year I am not going to win, so I will not go and vote. And we've already conceded, This is what happens. And suddenly that's how. If all voters go and don't, let's bring issues in the front. What is bothering me as a society? And let's fight on those issues. In fact, I think now gradually India will fight more on development, environment and all these issues than caste, politics and all those things. I think a better time has to come, because we can't go down below this. We have to improve. And the entire youth of this country has a huge challenge. वो हमारा तुम्हारा वो छोड़ना पड़ेगा. It's हमारा. He's hers, हमारा. Everything is we, and I think with that. It's going to be much easier. It's going to be much easier. And please innovate. And innovation can only come by creativity. And for creative minds can only be in the nature. Not in a metro train, not in, we walk in Lodi for 2-3 hours. Or whatever. Fortunately, Delhi has some green belts, The Sanjay one out there in Vasant Kunj or, So I think we still have a lot of creativity left in us. Why did we become creative in the US? I don't know. Why can't we be creative here? 35% of us in Microsoft, 35% of us in NASA. You have more figures. You can rattle out. Why can't we innovate here, being in this country? That bothers me in government. Why I can't get environment friendly technologies? Why can't I have, see the moisture that we have in our waste, it's not there up in temperate countries. So our waste solution has to be different. We have to have unique solutions for all our problems. Because this kind of country is a subcontinent, is not nowhere else in the world. So we should not aid what has resolved elsewhere. And if we have our own solutions, with this population also we'll make a developed country. Thank you.
Thank you. I think it's time. It's almost 6. I think we have had a very...
Just 2 inspirations which I think are inspirations of my life, and I'm sure you all can benefit from it. When I was 16, John F. Kennedy's words, ask not what the country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. And the second one is most important again for the teachers, that in the end, we will conserve what we love. We love what we understand, and we understand what we are taught. So teachers, rise to the occasion.
Thank you.
I think you said it.
So I think you like to say the last word for you. Okay.
We are talking.
You can stand up and say.
What do you have to voice it here?
We are talking so much about environment education. My question is, why don't we have a proper environmental engineering, environmental science course in our universities? I'm an 11th class student and I am writing about where will I go after 12. I want to do environmental engineering, but there is no such course in the colleges in India. So I have to go USA. But the private colleges in USA have very high fees and every Indian cannot afford it. So don't you think that it is discouraging me from keeping out from environmental engineering and thinking of some other course?
Yeah, I don't think there is something called environmental engineering. As I said, any project, like I just gave you an example of, the highways, the national highways that we have. If we have resources of that kind, we will have our wildlife passing through below or above, Either you have to have underground or you have to go above ground, elevated or below the ground. So let's go elevated. It costs okay. But and you have to have pillars strong enough to withstand earthquake, to withstand, a herd of elephant knocking at it, and we can have those. This is one example I'm giving. Or for taking out of minerals, unfortunately the paradox in this country is where we have rich mineral resources, the dead natural resources, there only we have good forests and poor people living there. It's paradox. That also needs a solution. Now we can have a technology which is there but it's costly as of now, a laparoscope kind of thing. I can suck the minerals from there, So that kind of innovation, Indian style, I am looking from otherwise it is today costing me 20-30% extra. So I'm not going into it. I'm not going into it because, I can have 10 kilometers of road, then having 2 kilometers of road, which is environment friendly. I'm going for 10 kilometers because that, is better for me, short term. Environment is all long term. You will not see result immediately. Environment engineering is just making it environment friendly. Roughly it's 20% of any project. Roughly it's 20%. It will vary from
every college in USA has some environmental engineering programs. Why not in India?
I think the answer is they have developed. They are developed now. See, there are 3 pillars of sustainable development. I'll go back now. Let me try and clarify to you. The sustainable development has 3 pillars: economics, sociology, and ecology. Economics is for the internal rate of return. Those economics students, you write a project, you see first, banker will ask you what is the internal rate of return, how much I am going to get back. So that comes X. Then there is economic rate of return. That's what government does. If we build a road, we will say no, so many poor people will pass through these roads, so many this, that. So we reduce because government subsidizes it. So we call it economic rate of return, right? And sometimes, in public-private sector, that viability, funding gap and all, somebody is talking this way. So that thing comes. Now there is environmental rate of return. I mean, it should come, environmental rate of return, which I said roughly it will be 20%, somewhere it will be 0, somewhere it will be 50, but roughly 20% extra. Is there any investor willing to pay that? Today in India, no, because our rules are there, but who will follow? Who will follow? Because they will run away. So, US has already done it. Their roads are empty. See, in Australia, when I was doing MBA there in 1998, Australia, we had one, Australia every year as population-wise. They were talking about landfills are becoming scarce to dump their waste. They don't have land. They were wondering 1998, 14 years back, they are talking about, there is no landfill, which we have in the past. We have made that now park, our landfills are going away from the city, but still the city itself is landfill. So, but we don't have land. So we have to have a solution. We go underground or we burn. So we think if we burn our waste, now when we are burning, we don't have enough waste. Either it's too wet or the cost of carrying it. So if, engineering, you don't need to study in US. It's very simple here. It's very simple here, provided somebody large scale sits. It has to be scaled up. I saw other day somebody, this innovation, I think you must have told them, again, you children had shown that, they're very innovative ones. Somebody has to handhold there. And that's where the private sector is required. And that's why the friends like, toxic links, Toxic links, of course, was for the footprints, but there are many affirmative actions, saving nature. So, engineering, one of the best institutions we have, And NEERI, I think NEERI is doing a bit. And many, I think there is no doubt of it, formal course, but it's good. It's good to study in US, no harm, but ultimately we should solve India's problem as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know, I'm wasting.
Not a question, because you sum things up so brilliantly. Just feel I have to say this. I feel that this young man here, he might not have access to Cornell, or he might not even have access to MOEF. But at the end of the day, I hope he doesn't go back home thinking about the environmental rate of return. I hope he's motivated, and I hope the government has played a role in motivating him by reaching out and promising role for him to apply his studies or to apply his ideas vis-a-vis environment. And I'm sure we would all of us like to thank you on this account.
Thank you. But for such bright students, there is no doubt. You will definitely find a person. You will go a long way. This is here. This was directed to people who are outside this hall. Here you are all passionate. That disclaimer I made in the beginning. When you are here, whole day itself makes hell of a difference. Even in college we don't stay that long. So exam. Our system, education system itself, exam oriented. Otherwise, fortunately I had that 1 year outing. My daughters were in a school that time till class 5, 6. They don't bring anything home. They don't carry anything to school in Western world. Here the bag. Sometimes the bag is so big. Then the child, we feel sorry for that. It's all play while you learn. Learn while you play. This is the kind of, and it's too much. It's too much of competition amongst ourselves, and we are making machines. Creativity has gone. And unfortunately, +2, then vocational, service sector and all that has to come. Agriculture is not going to give us good returns. Ultimately manufacturing we have to go. So, some entrepreneurs from you have to come. Not job givers, not job seekers. And I think India has bright future. I have very, very good.
But you are inciting too many things. I just am compelled. I am just compelled again. That the lady, as she said. I think the one thing which you brought forward very much, which came here in the sessions also, that a teacher is of great respect to the student, Likewise, you brought the issue that a district collector is a great leadership to the communities. The right one, of course. The two issues you brought them into parallel. And I think so what you said, that yes, we have to be participative, we have to be gender sensitive, we have to, but I think so there is an issue which they are bringing out, that institutions do differently. I think so there cannot be one fit for all. We cannot have one stoves which can fit all environments and all situations. That's why Stokes program in the ministry has been reinvented, failed and learnt and then come. So there is not one fit for all, which you amply brought it forward in different dimensions. And I think so it could be a point, sir, to think up that these issues can be thought in a socio-economical segmented, like the market drives India. This also issue came up. It's not the very thought of vision of values which Madhu was trying to point out and said that. It is the market which drives us, and what is available in market we invest into it. So I think so it is a point that we need to think what segmentation. It's not what to do. The content is enough there. The point which you said is how to do. And how is the most important. What is that path?
But this ecological rate of return, which don't link that. I was telling that in different contexts, in the context of a project. It's not education-wise. I think it's still our HRD ministry and all have good schemes. Bright children still get it. They still get of course, we have, the size of the country, population-wise, we are much beyond our carrying capacity. That's good for us or bad for us, that time only will say, but I think it's good for us. We must capitalize on that. And so that kind of thing is for the project entrepreneurs, we must factor in that, because these days, and that's where we are the whipping boys in the ministry, the clearance nahi mil rahi hai, investment ko rok rahe hain, and things like that. It's not that simple, because nobody wants to incur extra 20-30% on just to meet the environmental parameters, Because if there is a shortcut, why not? And we are all, all systems are tuned for shortcuts. But there are no shortcuts in life, I must tell you. Ultimately, we have to learn to stand in the queue. Now, counter argument is, if we stand in the queue, our number will never come, chance will never come, yes. But today in the PVRs, when in the same complex there are 4 cinema halls, you go and get your ticket. You can see the show there. Maybe not of your choice, the Friday release, but you can say last Friday release, you can see at least. But there was a time when there's no chance to black ticketing and all. The technology had helped there. Technology had helped in railways tremendously. Railways, at least today, you can be assured of a reserved berth. So these kind of technology in your day-to-day other things, water is going to be, mind you, going to be a tremendous problem. I think third, next world war might be on water. Beware of that. Because it's going to, because carrying capacity in the earth is under tremendous pressure by the 2080 thing or whatever you say. I think we can end here, because otherwise, as I said, I am very passionate about the subject and lived in Himalayas, so I think that everything is good. So, but cities have its own challenges. Himalaya has its own challenges. Coastal, now think of the coastal population, it has its unique challenges. It's a great country, I must tell you, and we are very proud citizens of this country. Thank you very much, and all the best.
Thank you. I'd like to thank all of you actually for being here so late in the day and being so participative with the discussion that we had today. And I would also like to thank all the panelists who took time today to be here with us and share their valuable thoughts and inputs with all of you. I think a round of applause for people who came from outside, like Mr. Pandey. Thank you so much, sir, for being with us. Thank you. We'll have a cup of tea. Tea is outside, and you can carry forward some of the discussion there, informally. Thank you. Thank you, sir. We'll send you the edition of the meeting. Yes, sir.
सॉरी आपको ज़्यादा टाइम दे दिया मैंने।
नहीं क्या,
मुझे तो बड़ा मजा आता है।
So nice of you to actually. Out. Great.